where did that narrative that Jelly is completely unreliable and lies at every turn come from? By, or at least the way that he alleges in this call, per his own words, something that was actively being worked on by Alex.
But as the story goes on, you're going to see why this dude is a rapist, not a potential initial first impression about my BDSM interests. Gonna leave it at that because it really disgusts me to even think about it.
Yeah, if somebody outside told him, but it appears by this call alone that Jelly wasn't the one to like argue that.
Do you get what I'm saying? The cops
investigated
investigated Cameron for what happened between them.
Make it seem that way. That's kind of what she felt in her head, I guess. So I apologize for it.
Well, what happened? What happened first? The kiss, and then you were trying to spend more time with her, or then
spend more time than the kiss.
Okay, because at the start it sounded like you kissed her, and then you wanted to spend more time.
No.
So the 5 minutes of you trying to convince her, the kiss happened after that.
I mean, sure, we'll just watch this, I guess.
Really interested why there's so much controversy behind this guy and don't really understand why. I highly suggest you stick around. Additionally, the reason why a lot of people keep trying to dismiss everything coming out against CameronF305 is because people are running with the assumption that the only issue here is that he had sex with somebody who was only 2.5 years younger than him when he was 19. That's what a lot of people are running with right now, but that's not the actual issue at hand here. The actual issue at hand here is that Cameron, based on all of the information that we have been actively seeing and digging up, stuff that he has been actively trying to hide, is trying to hide that he...
Do we have any hate comments here? I'm sorry, bud, but this video is mass. Cope. Papa Gut is right and will forever be right. What is Papa Gut right about? Cope. Wow. Wow, let's go.
He was attempting to run a disinformation campaign in support of Yandere Dev, a pedophile and a groomer. He has also been in various calls where he himself is actively working against the Osana Reddit, which was against Yandere Dev at the time, and trying to construct narratives to help Yandere Dev and his case, right? He corroborates this, by the way. He corroborates this. This isn't a lie. He, and people aren't going to actually see this. But look, most of you saw this already, but I'm going to show it to you guys anyways. Cameron corroborates that Jelly has been...
Whoa! Based X cancel user? Based X cancel user? Or cancel X or whatever the fuck it's called? Based? This is a good website.
Actively sabotaging herself in an attempt to help Yandere Dev's reputation, in an attempt to help his career, which is something that she has said on Dicker's interview, and it's something that actively lines up and is consistent with her story since then to now. It's only going to be like 3 minutes. Just listen through this. Listen through this. For those of you that couldn't follow along last time, because last time you guys were complaining about the audio, you guys should be able to hear it a little bit better now. In this call, Cameron and Jelly are talking about the honeypotting allegation. She's saying, I never coached anyone. I never ran a honeypot. Cameron's like, I'm sorry. I feel bad for the smoking gun stuff. The smoking gun clip in question that he's referring to is an MP3 file that he sent to FPS Diesel.
Oh! All right, I got to get my notes out. Should we... Let's look up a tutorial on how to use Obsidian. How to use Obsidian notes. Let's go. Obsidian for beginners. Start here. Okay.
In this video,
actually, we're gaining viewers. I can't watch a tutorial, and I'll just use Docs. I'll just use Google Doc. I can't. Listen, I'm greedy. I got to retain the viewership. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll just use Google Docs. I'll create a new one. Google Doc. Jelly notes. And I'm going to grab this. I know Rezzy's on vacation. That is true, Tyler. That is true. Unfortunate.
Where she's admitting, where when Cameron is asking her questions.
So then I made the honeypot rules with the most frequently asked questions.
So you didn't run one, but
I didn't run it.
You coached people on how to run one.
Listen. Cameron is asking her, you coach people on how to run one.
Yeah.
That is a leading question. That is a leading question. I would describe that as one. Right?
She says, yeah.
other underage girls?
Yeah.
Jelly alleges that Cameron was coaching her during these calls to say what he wanted her to say, right? But in this call right here,
I didn't teach anyone how to do that. I've been really mean to other e-girls.
she says, I didn't teach anybody how to do that. I've been feeling really mean to other e-girls. Now pay attention.
So I know this is addressed in Dicker's interview, right? What does she say about this in Dicker's interview? We should probably pull that up as well then, huh? Does Dicker have a VOD of that? An edited VOD, perhaps? Perhaps. Hopefully, maybe he does. OnlyFans creators are faking Down syndrome? Okay, W. Here we go.
Because not only does he call you babe here, he says, I beg of you on everything, you're my life.
Yeah, he was weirdly into me, and I don't know why. I was never at any point romantic with Cameron.
We also got to go through, this interview as well, I think.
Accidentally, at the start of one of the sound waves, he briefly leaves in this kind of like a thump sound.
It could be that he's like recording it through an OBS mic and has like a noise gate on, but that wouldn't make sense when it starts so sharply.
However uncredible do you think?
Should we just watch this all the way through? That might be good to just watch this all the way through, to be fair. Okay, let's finish Gamma's, then we'll go towards the interview, I think. I think we're probably going to watch... Okay, because I've looked into basically everything other than the Jelly stuff. I know roughly what happened with Jelly, enough to like argue about it. Or make a good argument for it. I have some stuff that I'm choosing, okay? I'm choosing. I do hope one day you guys will make a retrospective video on Cameron. Oh, motherfucker. Oh, buddy. Yeah, where's my, hold on. You're out of the loop, I say, as I pull up my... You're out of the loop, I say, as I pull up my MP4 file. You're out of the loop, pal. This guy's going down! All right, this guy's going fucking down! I'll play that one more time for the ladies in the back. All right, so to briefly explain, I have my script on Krexa is completely done. My script on Dr. Apis is completely done. The intro's done. The main body's done. I'm going to probably write about his alt accounts. Sick is doing research on the alt accounts for me. There is information that I'm choosing to not make public. I was really debating on whether or not that court document stuff should be made public, but I do think it's like big enough of a lie that it should, right? Right? So I figured so. But a lot of what I found is stuff that isn't public yet, and I don't want it to like... I basically... I don't want Cameron to be deleting stuff, right? Because when Diggers found that alleged alt account, he started privating it, right? If it is him. So I want to avoid that. I'm not like keeping it to myself. I'm not like gatekeeping fucking information or whatever. But I am like, when I do send it to someone, I'm like, hey, just, you know, I'd rather this, you know, unless it's going in a prepared video and you've archived everything before, you know, whatever, don't publicize this. Don't public this, right? But the only situation I haven't looked into, other than the alt accounts, is the Jelly one. Because I think Krexa has more evidence. So I thought that one was a little more important, at least to me. But I do want to get to the Jelly one, because the Jelly one is also significantly important. There's like alleged assault. I've been on Food Shop stream for a while. The Cameron drama just flashbanged me with infos. Yeah, Food Shops is a fucking idiot. I think I'm like completely done with Food Shops. I'm completely done with Food Shops. They're like actually fucking brain dead. Dude, like they were trying to argue with me about Cameron. They didn't even look into it, and they were trying to debate me. And they're like, "No, I don't think that's abusive because I've been through that, and I didn't think it was abusive." And it's like, dude, you're fucking retarded. And then they refused to like send me DMs that they claimed were from Cameron. And it's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? And part of their reasoning was because they disagreed with me on the drama. And it's like, oh my God, dude. So ridiculous. I think I'm like completely done. Got a pretty good deal on an OZ. I don't know what an OZ is. I don't know what an OZ is. Food shop's bridge burned. I don't know if, I mean, every conversation I've had with them is, has been pretty meaningless. So I just don't know if I want to put in the effort anymore. They're like actually retarded. I don't know. I don't know how they can be so confidently wrong. And it seemed like when Cameron was on call with them, they're like, "I defended you to MrowLive, a Queeman orbiter," and it's like, dude, it feels like they only do things not because they want the truth or they actually feel good about something. It seems like they're very Tommy C coded, right? And that Tommy C video, we haven't watched it, but if you have watched it, Tommy C basically says that he'll defend his friends just because they're his friends, not because he believes that what they did is like good or positive or anything like that, right? But because they're just his friends and he likes them. And it's like, no, that's not why you should be defending someone. You should be defending someone if you believe what they did is like correct or right, or if you believe they were wronged or something like that. You shouldn't be defending someone just because you like them. Like, that's ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous, right? And like Food Shop's only defense, if I'm remembering correctly, was like Cameron was panicking. And it's like, yeah, why do you fucking think why do you think he was panicking? Probably because he was just outed as a fucking sexual assaulter, retard. Mrow would never defend me if I said something. Well, if I agreed with what you said, sure. But I don't think defending friends just because they're your friends is like a good thing. I think that's a little silly. I don't want people to defend me just because they like me. I want people to defend me if I say something that they agree with, right? That's what I would want. Because if you defend someone that just because you like them, not because of anything that they're saying, what does that do to you? What does that do for you? Literally nothing. Because the moment you guys stop being cool with each other, all bets are off. It's literally Elon Musk and Trump, okay? Elon Musk is like calling this guy an evil pedophile, but he knew the entire time while he was friends with Trump. And it's like he was just defending him because he liked him, not because of any underlying principles that he had, right? So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm like done with food shops. I think the many people who were telling me that they're actually just a fucking bumbling retard were probably right. I tried to give them the benefit of the doubt. I still think they're funny to talk to. But holy fuck, they're like retarded. Right? They're like actually fucking brain dead. I don't know. Their behavior on the Cameron shit has really turned me on. Right? Whatever, sigh. Oh, evil pedophile song. Oh, evil pedophile art. Oh, evil pedophile. Jokes. Okay, jokes. That's a joke. All right.
Listen to what Cameron says. Listen closely.
I've gotten involved with that sort of business. Like, I've been horrible to them.
Yeah. I mean, I tried telling him on several occasions, but
I tried telling him on several occasions. Who's him? Could he be referring to FPS Diesel?
Had to do with your parents as far back as October. And I told him to reach out to you. That's on texts, that's on recordings.
I told him to reach out to you.
I've shown you that. I feel awful about the whole smoking gun clip.
I feel awful about the whole smoking gun clip. Why?
Whoa!
Would he feel awful?
That made me so mad at you.
That made me so mad at you.
Listen, I deleted it in early October.
I deleted it in early October.
It was there for about 3 days. And
it was there for about 3 days. All right, one more.
Actually, I don't think this is really what...
Actually, I told him I don't think this is what really happened. So in this case, did Cameron, if he's referring to FPS Diesel, feed FPS Diesel bad information? Do you understand why this is crazy to me? Because we need more clarity on this. Because now the idea of Cameron, like potentially, based on what Jelly said, of Cameron feeding her lines.
Yeah, I mean, that's bad, right? I mean, this is obviously bad for a multitude of reasons. I'm just gonna yap. This is a live stream. I can just yap, okay? If you guys aren't here for epic MrowLive commentary, all right? Epic MrowLive commentary. This is bad for a multitude of reasons, right? Because check DMs. Dude. Watch this too. This ties it all together. You show this in your stream though, don't you?
As if that's at all possible. She's coming up in the video. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no way.
I'm gonna request you don't mention me and her with the honeypot stuff. I don't want anything I've ever sent you used about that. No matter what, because it's just, I don't think it's cool.
Ooh.
You know, that's a crime, right? Now, there is an actual reasonable argument for why you wouldn't cover Jelly, right? Now, the reason I covered Jelly is because she played a role in everyone's story. She allegedly taught other minors to allegedly groom pedophiles, and frankly, the case was fumbled from the moment I got there, right? Allie inserting herself and coaching a minor, this minor...
So yeah, I mean, this is bad for a multitude of reasons, right? This is bad for a variety of reasons, right? If Cameron is sending Diesel bad information about a case involving a someone who is, predating on a 16-year-old, and it comes out that Diesel's video is full of fucking misinfo, that could help Yandere Dev, I mean, it's been years. It's been years, to be fair, so it's like, is Yandere Dev going to come back and, fight back against FPS Diesel? Probably not, and he'd probably lose if he tried. But yeah, filming a video about, like, pedophile stuff with misinfo is definitely not the way to go about this, right? Not the way to go about this. And then even if this, like... I don't know. Even if this isn't misinfo necessarily, like let's say the honeypot stuff is true, right? Just for the sake of argument. I'm like playing with my fucking butterfly knife, dude. I'm sorry if you guys hear the clicking. Whenever you hear clicking in my mic, it's because I'm fucking fidgeting with it. I'm like autistic as shit, okay? If it's true for the sake of argument, and then Cam goes back on that and acts like super sketchy about it, right? Super sketchy about it. It's like, yeah, I think the honeypot stuff does have like some bearing on the story, because I think it changes a little bit if this is just some random girl that Yandere Dev is talking to versus like some girl who goes out of her way to try to catfish pedophiles for like money or extortion or whatever, right? I think those are two very different things. We might actually watch FPS Diesel's video as well. His first one is like 3-hour one on like 2x or something. Yeah, I mean, really quick, just while we're at Wayne, all right. 55 viewers, 16 likes. All right, about 40 of you have not liked the stream. If you guys could, all right, super easy. Move your thumb or your mouse cursor, over to the like button. Press down, click down, whatever suits your fancy, obviously, okay? This is probably going to be another longer stream. Our last stream when we looked at the Crexus stuff. Granted, we had some derails, was about like 8-9 hours long, right? So this is definitely going to be a longer one. So if you enjoy the longer streams, the longer deep dive research-esque streams, you know, obviously show some support. Like the stream. It's a free way of supporting the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. And then obviously any amount of monetary donations go a long way, right? Whether it's a YouTube super chat, a YouTube super sticker, or a YouTube membership, all right? A $5 TTS is enabled, meaning if you donate $5 or more USD, your chat will be read out loud to you and the rest of the chatters and me. I'll put it in the chat right now, pinned. I forgot to put it pinned. $5 TTS dono. Look at that. Look at that. We could probably do 1.5. I watched a bit of Diesel's video because he had inside of his video, he had some screenshots that I needed. And yeah, there's actually, it actually lays out the Cameron stuff relatively well. The video, Diesel's video is unironically, it's mostly about like Cameron and Yandev. There's a lot of information about Cameron in it, right? The last stream was fun. Grapist derail was insane. Yeah, I was fucking silly. But yeah, all right, let's keep going. Whoa!
You're telling me for $5 I can have my message read out loud. Geez, what should I say? Oh, wait.
Thank you. Thank you for the 5 USD Micro Monix. Thank you. I believe Micro, you're the one who made the Jester Robot Mrow thing for JStock, right? That's who you are, I believe. W $5. W Dono, thank you. Unless I'm insanely mistaken. I'm just like slandering you. I could be.
And stuff to say. That idea is not fully bullshit.
Went down, and he never let go of it, and I'd always tried to redirect it, and I told him not to include it because I didn't think it was a proper representation. He knows that.
It's not a proper representation.
And I said this was around the time when she was trying to make herself look bad to me, and I don't think she was being honest with me during this time. This is when Alex was still lying to me, and I'm pretty sure he was probably talking to her behind the scenes.
I want it to look bad because Alex said it was the only way to like save him is if I became unreliable and I was just a liar. If everyone.
Fuck! Do you guys? That ties everything together. We don't even have to assume anymore.
Told him, actually, I don't.
Okay. So real quick, just to dispel any doubts in the people that are completely unaware about this, because again, this will be turned into a VOD. This call is actively available right here. This call is actively available right here, right? You can go look at it right now. This call is actively available. You can go listen to it right now and interpret it in, you know, the way, however you want to. But it's not good. It doesn't sound good. Throughout this entire call, it's essentially...
The calls are out of order. Yeah, I don't know if that's on purpose, though.
Like, you know, further...
I think I'm going to mention that in my video. But I will clarify that, like, I don't know if it's on purpose. Knowing Cameron, obviously I'm biased in saying this, but I do definitely believe that Cameron is a malicious actor. So I wouldn't put it past him to do something like that on purpose. That being said, obviously there's no proof, right? That's saying that he purposely put them out of order is purely speculation unless he says it himself, basically, or he admits to it. So, you know, not really much to garner out of that, I think.
They're reinforcing the idea that Jelly was actively being manipulated into starting these like unreliable narratives against her so that people can then discredit her and accuse her of lying at every turn, right? Which is absolutely disgusting to me. And it's something that Cameron still utilizes to his advantage to claim that Jelly is lying.
I think the beeping is definitely on purpose. Maybe. He could just be rushing to get this out, you know?
Which is incredibly important because is the narrator an unreliable narrator? Is the victim an unreliable narrator?
I will say the beeping is definitely incredibly obnoxious. Not a fan of the beeping. Not a fan of the beeping.
Or is she not? And if she did, and if she is, where did that idea come from? Where did that narrative that Jelly is completely unreliable and lies at every turn come from? Because that didn't manifest organically. That did not manifest organically. That was something that was plotted, that was something that was actively being worked on by, or at least the way that he alleges in this call, per his own words, something that was actively being worked on by Alex. But however, I do have this timestamp right here where Jelly further alleges that
I do actually want to do something. I am paying attention. I am paying attention. I want to make like a YouTube post and say like, hey, if anybody wants to talk to me about Cameron stuff, I'm live right now. How do I do it? It's like share, create post. If anyone wants to talk about any of my opinions or takes on CameronF305, I'm currently live doing more research on the topic for a video essay. I'll talk to anyone on call. Look at that. Look at that post. Maybe we'll get some epic debates. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows?
It wasn't just Alex that was like, you know, that was engaging in this disinformation campaign to help his
Yeah, I like talking to that fan. I have not seen them in chat since. I have not seen them in chat since. I wonder why. But yeah, it was a good shot. I enjoyed talking with them. It was interesting to see that I was able to actually get someone to change their mind on Cameron, right? By actually showing them the evidence. You know, I'm relatively confident that if I'm able to show people, lay out the lies that Cameron has done, show people that he is a malicious actor, I'd be willing to convince. I'd be able to convince people, right? I think a lot of the Cameron defenders or whatever are partly it's just hard to get all the information, I guess, right? It's just hard to get all the information. So I would assume they're just partly ignorant rather than malicious. I want to be good faith to the defenders. I want to say that they're partly just ignorant to the evidence and stuff like that.
His reputation. It was Alex and Cameron.
There's a falling out between you and Cameron. And I guess before we go on to scripting calls, is this before? Okay. You allege that calls happened between you and Cameron, and he scripted them because he was messaging you in DMs. And that's
that was from the very start. As soon as we have,
you allege that Cameron was in call. Pay close attention to what Dickers is saying, because this allegation doesn't just come from nowhere. And call 3 and a couple of these calls and the way that they're being phrased, the way that she's collaborating with Cameron in these conversations to try to absolve her of guilt and her negative reputation, and also absolve Cameron of guilt and his negative reputation. It makes this a lot more believable. This makes a lot more sense.
Gama.
At first, I took this with a grain of salt. I was completely baffled at how this could be the case, right? But it's not completely unsubstantiated.
Group chat with Alex. Alex was telling us the narrative he wanted. Cameron was like, they were going back and forth. Like, Alex would say, I want you to paint me in this light. And Cameron would say, well, I can't do that because you already admitted to it, but I can do this instead. So they were like doing their whole PR thing. And I was just along for the ride, and I felt really guilty about what I did to Alex. So I was listening. I was like, damn, sorry, I kind of ruined your career. The least I can do is make you look better.
Okay, this detail is important. This detail right here is important because now you have to explain, why would she jeopardize her reputation for Cameron then? And the reason why is because Jelly is an incredibly, or at least the way we see this, like the way we see here, is a somewhat sympathetic individual, right? The only reason why she's come out now is because Cameron keeps lying and misrepresenting her. So Jelly actively participates in these calls with Cameron in an attempt to sort of absolve themselves of any guilt, because she doesn't want Cameron's reputation to be damaged either. But I think that that's fair. I think that's actually a fair assessment of who she is. She, like, if you take a second to listen through these calls, which I have in full.
You know, such an idiot. He could probably. He's autistic, which is good for this because he remembers like retarded shit and he'll bring it up. Okay, we love Gama for that. Okay, we love Gama for that. He's like retarded and autistic as shit. So he'll remember stuff, which is good, right? Because I'm not going to remember everything. My memory is like notoriously shit.
I need you to run. Run right back to me, run right back to me, run right back to me. I'm going psycho Michael Myers.
Thank you, Tyrone. 9,000 for the 5. Thank you. We found out yesterday, Tyrone, or whenever we streamed last, I don't remember. We found out, Tyrone, that Cameron actually, those 2 songs in that EP, they're actually about an ex-girlfriend that he had recently broken up with at the time. So very, very interesting tidbit there, I will say. Okay. Beautiful songs. True.
You will notice that she is actively like working alongside Cameron to make response videos against, people from r/Osana in an attempt to sort of clear Cameron's name. She is actively saying things against Krexa, right? Somebody who Cameron also misrepresents her former roommate or his former roommate in an attempt to absolve himself from any guilt. And we have also actively been seeing Cameron lie about the Krexa stuff and even misrepresent her by misrepresenting a police report.
Oh?
And that's where this Twitter thread right here will come in.
Mrow mention?
Sick Unchained post this Reddit thread. CameronF305 has been exposed by Y-Tier MrowLive for using a police report about his roommate to slander one of his accusers, Krexa, as being violently abusive.
She acted like I was charging at her at the time in her document, when in reality I was walking over and just trying to figure out what to do.
This is bullshit, by the way. This is bullshit because when we go to the police report right here, right?
Official document that I have.
This is the police report he utilizes in his response against Krexa, a alleged former victim of his. And I have to say, to be clear, alleged, because who knows exactly what happened between them. As far as we know, Krexa only accused Cameron of being a creepy, unhinged weirdo.
Okay. The only thing...
The allegation, from what I understand with Krexa, is like maybe almost blackmail and like verbal abuse. And I guess to be fair to Cameron, she did indeed accuse him of being a rapist, although she doesn't ever describe a situation where Cameron sexually assaulted her. So that claim, I don't know if I'm going to take it super seriously, just because she doesn't actually lay anything out. Right. Krexa called him a rapist. Yeah, she said in her document, she says, which I could pull it up as well. She says Cameron is a rapist. Now, again, she doesn't say. She doesn't say he raped me, right? Where's the document? Let me grab that. Smile. La 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 la. All right, here. This should be it. So if you go to the Reddit post, what happens when people complain about dead air? If we Control F, rapist. Yeah, we go down here. He's going to try to expose me by sharing my private fetishes, and I had a long time ago with you all. I never want anyone to know, but I just know him, so I'm expecting it. So I'm going to make it clear that, yeah, maybe at first that made it unclear. But as the story goes on, you're going to see why this dude is a rapist, not a potential initial first impression about my BDSM interests. Gonna leave it at that because it really disgusts me to even think about it. And it isn't something I want the world to know. So this is like a almost allegation of rape. But I'm gonna be honest. If she does not lay out a story in which she's sexually assaulted by Cameron, you know, I don't really care, right? Is this a false allegation? Maybe. I want to try to be as fair to Cameron as I possibly can, right? So yeah, she does pretty blatantly call him a rapist, unsubstantiated, in her Google document, right? She 1000% does. She 100% does. I want to try to be as fair as I can. Yeah, she 1000% does. Right? Graceful? What does that mean? So yeah. Yep, she does. She does. Smile. That's censored on the document that I have is the combination to his gun safe, where he has a handgun.
For this, I let the officer know everything that from the get-go, how she moved in, the choking incident. He told me to record everything to cover my bases and to get her out as soon as possible for the safety of everyone there, which doesn't align with what.
I wonder what Gama's take on this is going to be, because I believe he's seen the entire unredacted document. Also, I might. Where is Da Vinci? I might make a. I might censor the entire document. There's no way to like undo a pixel, a mosaic blur, right? Let me do this really quick. Because Dickers was talking, hold on, let's do this. I'll put on some music while I edit this, because I want to be able to show you guys the what is originally censored here. Okay, what music do I put on? Oh, Alisana, the thespian. Look at that! Look at that! Finished it right as the song was ending. Look at that! Look at that! Perfect. 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 So again, to add credence to the idea that Cameron censored it himself, this is the report that he sent, that Diesel sent him. Okay, I'm confident that this is illegible. All right. If you want to be fucking super hyper technical, this report is like technically public. So if I really wanted to, I could post it, but I'm not going to. Obviously, it still has docs information. I'm not going to post this uncensored. If it is included in my video, obviously I'm going to be censoring like last names, addresses, stuff like that, right? What's this? A picture for ants? True. So as you can see, the only two lines here that are censored is the top one, which is the combination to his gun safe. I'm assuming, again, it's censored. I haven't seen the uncensored version because it doesn't exist, right? This is the original police report that Cameron was sent. Okay? Then the second one, I'm assuming, is medical information for his roommate or whatever black individual, this is. This is the police report. Okay? All right, and then when we go over to what Cameron shows,
she has said, but does align with the police report as it.
No, Tyrone, he didn't censor that. That's censored by the police.
Turns out she has a violent record.
Which is a lie.
Then this is what he shows. He adds so much more censors, which, to be clear, some of what is censored are addresses, are names, stuff like that. I don't fault him for censoring addresses or names or whatever, right? What I do fault him for is, if you guys see this top line up here, the one that I'm hovering my mouse on, if you guys can see that, that is describing a black man, which I'm going to explain it in the video that Gama is about to play anyways. So, you're going to get this explanation twice. All right. Mrow fishy emote. I'll look into it. That is what I have issue with him censoring, because he censors that and then tries to act like it's about Krexa. Right? He tries to act like that's about Krexa. Okay? Which, again, I know you guys, I am not going to be the one to release the uncensored report. The only time I'm going to release the uncensored report is if new Leadhead video. Oh Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. A long video about Tyler, the creator, and trauma. I'll pass. I think I'll be fine without that. I think I'll be fine without watching a video by Leadhead about Tyler, the creator. So yeah, again, he's maliciously censoring shit. To be clear, I don't care that he censored addresses. When I include this in my video, I'm going to be censoring addresses, last names, stuff like that. Okay? 1000% I am. 1000%. The issue I have is him maliciously censoring shit. That's the problem that I have. And trying to smear Krexa, who is alleging abuse upon Cameron. Right? That is my issue. Okay? To be clear. To be clear. All right? That's my issue. You guys can see this big line up here. This censor. This is describing a black male who was institutionalized or detained. Right? This is not about Krexa. To be clear. Okay? So just to reiterate again, because I've seen people in my comments try to say, like, of course he censored it. You want him to leak his address? I'm going to repeat it for like the third or fourth time now. I don't care that he censored his address. That's good that he censors his address. I don't care about that. I care about the malicious framing that he's doing to try to smear Krexa, who is alleging him to have abused her. Okay? All right? That is, to be clear, that is my take here. All right? He should leak his address. That's his prerogative. That's his... Listen, if Cameron gives me permission, I will 1000% in a heartbeat post the police report. I'll 1000% do that.
Why? Because this police report isn't actually about Krexa. It's about his roommates, as Mrow will go on to explain. So this whole narrative about Krexa being unhinged in her own right, being a psychotic bitch, which is corroborated by Jelly, by the way, is a narrative that he spread by misrepresenting this. If we go into these calls, and some of these calls, Jelly will call Krexa unhinged. Why could that be the case? Does she actually know that Krexa's unhinged? Or did Cameron present this information to Jelly as well in an attempt to get more than one person aside with him against Krexa, to make it seem as if Krexa was actually unhinged? Very curious. Very, very curious stuff. Very, very curious.
Well, Naza, I know, okay? I'm just saying, I know the report's real. I know he's lied about it. I know he's censored it. And, you know, if you would let me, I would obviously post it.
Stuff.
Lie. But, like, unless he gives permission, it's staying private in my eyes, so.
This is a lie.
In the past, she has threatened a group of people with violence and was institutionalized or Baker acted in 2016.
That is a lie.
These were facts that I didn't know entirely.
That is a lie. Cameron censors this and tries to play it off like this is about Krexa. This is not about Krexa. This
I just
right
explained
here
this, but I'm going to let it play
is
through.
about Cameron's roommate. Now, let's know what.
By the way, I can confidently say that multiple of us have seen this police report. We can corroborate what Mrow is saying. Not just Mrow who's come to this conclusion. It's a couple of us. It's a few of us, because we have access to this police report. We've seen it.
See how he censored all of that? All of this right here? Because if he didn't, it would say black male. It would say black male. And this would prove that it's not about Krexa, because correct me if Krexa is not a black male. Krexa is a white woman. Oh, presumably. Okay? Presumably. So Cameron's roommate, black male, has shown violent tendencies via social media towards a select group of people, and Baker acted in 2016 at location for 29A threats. Use extreme caution. Multiple units should respond to the location. Now, what is a 29A threat?
When Cameron was talking about the blackmail, this is what he meant? No, I don't think so. I believe the blackmail was like him being raped as a kid or something, or like something to do with him using butt plugs when he like jerks off. Probably. I'm assuming. I don't know.
29A threat is a credible threat of violence.
I'm going to skip through this. Does he just let's skip to what Gama says.
Of Tim. He darvos this entire situation to hurt her, and people just buy it because Cameron censored enough information about his roommate to be able to pretend the report is against Krexa. That is an incredibly accurate summary of what is occurring here, right? Because in order to actually get down to the bottom of this, you'd have to go through hours and hours of research to actually understand why this is unhinged, to actually understand where Cameron has lied, and you'd have to also go through
Darvo!
Jelly's accusations.
Joy Lynn in chat? I haven't seen you in like a month, dude. Jeez, welcome to chat, buddy. I haven't seen you in so long.
And see some of Jelly's, I want to say, evidence she provided firsthand. Blah, 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 blah. Right? So we're going to basically be going over some of the most glaring stuff, and I'll turn this into a video so that people have like a somewhat decent jumping off point before
He's
so
talking
we have
about
like a
me.
decent jumping off point before everybody else starts releasing their videos. Because there's a lot of investigation going on right now. Plenty of people are currently working on their own videos. Like, plenty of people are currently doing a lot of research. A lot of
Mrow?
this is not, a lot of this isn't just unsubstantiated
Like
stuff
Mrow?
that Cameron is claiming, that Cameron is claiming is supposed to be like rumors or lies, right? That's just how he is trying to brush everything off, which is completely idiotic. It's not going to work. Eventually, more and more people are going to start digging into Cameron, and it's already begun. It's not just us anymore. It's not just a handful of us that have actively been getting more and more information. It's a bunch of other people that are going back like years and finding stuff on this guy. So at this point, I think it is a good. At this point, I think it would be okay to watch through most of the content deputy and get to the Noah Samson stuff. And then when we get to the Noah Samson stuff, where he utilizes some of these calls, we can start digging some more.
Okay.
And I'll start doing some cross-referencing.
Zoo, the only thing I'm going to be talking about for the next few days is Cameron, all right? You're not going to have a good time, all right?
Like how Noah and Hassan have no problem parroting these false allegations against me based on an out-of-context phone call, yet constantly deny actual rapes when it has to...
It's funny because he calls this phone call out of context, but he does nothing to elaborate on the context.
do with the conflict between Israel-Palestine when their side is the one at fault for them. Instead of that, let me do no...
What is that argument even supposed to convey?
Noah and Hassan have no problem parroting these false allegations against me based on an out-of-context phone call, yet constantly deny actual rapes when it has to do with the conflict between Israel-Palestine when their side is the one at fault for them. Instead of that, let me do Noah a favor. Hey Noah, nice hair. Let me be very clear. I did not rape or sexually assault anyone. For context...
Which, to be clear, is not an allegation that Jelly made. That was never an allegation that Jelly made. That is an allegation...
the one at fault for them. Instead of that, let me do Noah a favor. Hey Noah, nice hair. Let me be very clear. I did not rape or sexually assault anyone. For context...
Which, to be clear, is not an allegation that Jelly made.
Okay. Right, like... This is one of the issues I have with the Jelly stuff, because, like, she does describe sexual assault. Right? She absolutely describes sexual assault. Like, what is the term she uses for it? I don't know. Like, she just describes what happened. But, like, yeah, no, she describes, like, a unwanted sexual encounter taking place and her, like, punching and kicking him to get him to stop, right? Unconsensual oral. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that was never an allegation, but it's kind of like, you know, that's basically what she's alleging, but, you know, whatever. Again, I'm obviously biased. I think what was described was sexual assault, and I think Cameron is most likely guilty of sexual assault. Obviously, we can't do, like, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm giving an I feel statement. I feel like Cameron is guilty of sexually assaulting this girl or attempting to sexually assault this girl. Obviously, there's no, like, solid evidence. We're never going to get, like, a conviction. Not that I would even want a conviction for this necessarily. You know, so just my opinion, I obviously think this is what was described here was indeed sexual assault.
That was never an allegation that Jelly made. That is an allegation that other people made after hearing Jelly's story. That is not an allegation that Jelly made, which is an incredibly important distinction to have here. Okay? As a matter of fact, even in the Dickers interview, Jelly doesn't allege that Cameron sexually assaulted her. She just retells us like a story of an uncomfortable sexual experience that she had with Cameron after Cameron tried making a move on her.
This all goes back to a short fling I had over a year and a half.
This all goes back to a short fling I had over a year ago. Okay, this is also an important thing to nitpick because this is also a layer of dishonesty because Jelly never acknowledges Cameron as being even close to something as, I want to say, something as close as innocent as even a romantic partner.
True! True! All right. All right, taking notes.
If we go over to the Dickers interview.
You met up twice for the interviews. You didn't have sex during them. There wasn't a hookup, and it was in the subsequent 2 times that you started to develop. I guess somewhat. What would you call it? Like a situationship, an emotional relationship?
I don't know why he keeps calling it that. We did not have a relationship. I was never at any point romantic with Cameron. Cameron was into me.
Yeah, I mean, Nate, I agree. I think what's described is obviously sexual assault. I think at the very least you could describe it as like attempted sexual assault. I don't know. I don't know why she doesn't describe it as that because it seems like to me, you know, an unwanted sexual, you know, whatever. Like, yeah, it seems like sexual assault. That being said, you know, I suppose it is technically true that she did not allege sexual assault necessarily. So she does have that, I suppose. Even though I think basically that's, you know, it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, smells like a duck, looks like a duck. It's probably a duck. But, you know, I guess there are times when you can mistake a duck for a goose. All right. So who knows? Who knows?
And I was still at the time screenshotting stuff and sending it to Krexa, being like, ugh, look at this. Because we were making fun of him and I was still talking to Krexa. But no, we didn't have anything romantic. We were hanging out in a motel.
And was this in?
That was also
this was in November.
For an interview. No, that was later, I think.
December 22nd. Does that sound right?
I don't know the dates. One was Thanksgiving break, one was Christmas break. That's why I sent you the location data because I do not remember the dates.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. So I guess the second trip that you sent.
Okay. Let me look at the timeline really quick, actually.
Yeah, sorry, you're on a live stream asking you about specific dates and specific time.
Essentially, she alleges that there was no sexual interaction, right? At least not one in the sense of like sexual assault or rape. She, however, does allege that Cameron came on to her. Okay, right here.
You met up. Cool. And so you've moved to the bed.
Right, this is what she alleges, by the way.
When he was trying to be weird, that was picking you up and trying to, I think you said in your Blue Sky post, put your vulva to his face.
Yeah, he was like trying to pull down my sweatpants, and he was.
Yeah, it's.
He was just being freaky.
Okay. Yes.
Pull down sweatpants. He was trying to pull down my sweatpants. He was pulling down a miner's pants. Uh-oh. Dude, I considered recreating this scene in like Blender or something, but that might be a bit much. That might be a bit much.
Sorry, if you feel like I'm asking a question that you don't want to answer, or if you're kind of want to say give less details, feel free to tell me, and I can rephrase it if you'd like. Because obviously it's uncomfortable to talk about something like this.
You're fine. I don't know. It's gonna be awkward no matter how you ask it.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so then he takes you home. When did the kiss happen?
Because this is where it starts getting more confusing. We're gonna pause right here because this will come up a little bit later, and I'll even point towards the Aiden interview.
Ago with someone 2.5 years younger than me. After a falling out,
which is the issue. Nobody ever cared about the fact.
He was 19 at this time.
Like even in FPS Diesel's video, nobody even cared about the fact that you hooked up with somebody 2.5 years younger than you. Maybe a very select few did and latched on to that point, but that wasn't the legitimate issue here. The issue here, Cameron, is that you claimed to FPS Diesel that you had sex with this girl.
Whoa! And then, look in the chat, fellas. Miss Mischief is back? Miss Mischief is back? W bet, guys. Ah! Whoa! What is this? Fuck! Oh, this is the highlight message thing that I tried to change. God, where's the link? I have to copy it again. No, I pressed Control Z far too many times. I pressed Control Z far too many times. There we go. Does it still work? Yeah, it still works. All right, all right. We're back. We're back. We're back.
And later on, you attempt to confront FPS Diesel and change the narrative to claim that you were being blackmailed into saying that. By the way, we haven't found any evidence of that blackmail, so we don't even know if that's true or not. And then you try to tell FPS Diesel that you didn't have sex with this girl. And now I'm starting to lean into the direction that perhaps Cameron lied about having sex with this girl since the very beginning. For what reason? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows why he lied about that? It just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up.
He said, I believe he said on Aiden's stream that he did have sex with her definitively, right? 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 Let me DM Gama. Gama. Asked Gama. Also, I have another clip. Do you guys want another clip? You guys want another clip from the video? I can show you guys another one. Actually, it's an MOV, huh? Hold on. Let me change it to a MP4. Movie to MP4. I'd show you guys. I need to start rendering in fucking MP4. It's ridiculous, dude. I lost all my plugins for DaVinci, so I had to figure out a different way to do everything. I might host another art comp. I don't know what that means. But I'm glad that you might be hosting another one, I suppose. We look at the look. I'm working on little graphics and stuff, little title cards. Look at that. Whoa. 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 Look at that. Whoa. Whoa. Sick. Sick as hell. Sick as shit, dude. I'm gonna get this Tommy C shit out of my fucking thing. I'm not watching Tommy C, dude. Fuck it. Fuck Tommy C. Okay.
DM'd several people and falsely accused.
Not to mention, he also attempted to ask FPS Diesel to retract certain parts of his previous video on Cameron because he didn't want to be affected when his content cop dropped. With all of that stuff from his past. He even says that he even says in a call with FPS Diesel that he doesn't want something he did when he was 18, 19 years old with a 17-year-old, which is a complete lie, by the way. Because the girl wasn't 17 to, like, you know, I want to say haunt him now. Why was he fibbing on the ages? Well, it's obviously because he didn't want to, like, make himself look worse than he already does by hooking up with somebody, allegedly, per his claims. Allegedly, per his claims. That was, you know, a grooming victim of Yandere Dev. And to reiterate from earlier, a grooming victim that he was manipulating on several occasions to run like, you know, a self-sabotaging campaign on herself to make her claims seem unreliable as hell so that Yandere Dev's reputation isn't damaged as much as she would like. Isn't damaged as much as they would have liked.
Me of sexual assault without any proof.
I'm really open and honest about what I've done. I lied about you in private.
Okay, it's really important. It's really important to focus on this because he takes this call, which I'm pretty sure isn't available in his Google Drives. I don't know where this audio comes from.
Realization later. Okay, let me mark this down as well. I need to come back to this. 23 minutes. Come back to this point and into it more. Smile. Here we go.
That's in call 3. That's in call 3.
He told Diesel and Aiden yes, and he told Diesel no once, and Jelly said no. I think in the interview with Aiden on Aiden's channel, he definitively said, like, yes, we did have sex, or yes, we did hook up, or whatever. Which is weird, right? There's like, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll get to it. I want to try in this stream to watch every piece of content relating to Jelly as I can. I want to have my notes filled because my script is done. My script is done. I've recorded everything up until the Jelly section, and I've started editing, okay? The only thing I do not have finished is the Jelly shit. And I was hoping, like, Gama or Dickers could groom me into like, understanding it or whatever. But they're busy with their own shit. So, instead of being groomed, which probably would have been, you know, a little less time-consuming, I figured I'd fire up another research stream. You guys seemed to like it the last time, so... Video, ideally, what day is it? Saturday. Ideally, script is done by tomorrow. By the end of the day tomorrow, script is done. And then I want the video to be uploaded Monday. Not this Monday, like not in 2 days Monday, but next week Monday. So video should be out. If everything goes to plan, what day? The 16th. The 16th, although it would be admittedly, it would be really funny if I released it on like Juneteenth. I think that'd be a funny day to release it. But yeah, ideally, if everything goes to plan, which there's no guarantee, I'm not making promises, but ideally, If everything goes to plan, my computer doesn't fuck up, DaVinci, keeps, acting well and good. Ideally, video is out next Monday. Ideally. Okay? Ideally.
How did I not fucking push? How did I not put 2 and 2 together before? How did I not fucking put this together? Oh, holy fuck. Holy fuck. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. Cameron lied. Like, definitively. We like that part right there. That part right here. That part right here is a definitive fucking lie. This part right here is a definitive lie. He's taking this call out of context to make it seem as if she's admitting to lying about this guy sexually assaulting her. I just realized. I thought that call hasn't been released. It has been released. But she's not referring to her lying about sexual assault.
Let's go back a little bit. Hold on.
That part right. Holy fucking drives. I
lied about you in private.
Okay, it's really important. It's really important to focus on this because he takes this call, which I'm pretty sure isn't available in his Google Drives. I don't know where this audio comes from.
She says they never had sex. It's worth remembering other than the kiss and the non-sexual assault. They had no sexual contact according to Jelly. I'll try to find the clip. No, I know. Jelly's been consistent.
That's in call 3. That's in call 3. How did I not fucking push? How did I not put 2 and 2 together before? How did I not?
Call 3. I need to write this down as well. Call 3 taken out of context by Cameron and his content deputy. There we go.
I not fucking put this together. Oh, holy fuck. Holy fuck. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. Give me one moment. Cameron lied.
I need you to
like,
run.
Definitively.
Run right back to me.
That part right there. That part right here. That part right here is a definitive fucking lie. This part right here is a definitive lie. He's taking this call out of context to make it seem as if she's admitting to lying about this guy sexually assaulting her. I just realized. I thought that call hasn't been released. It has been released. But she's not referring to her lying about sexual assault in that clip at all.
Like, actually do research. No. She didn't ask me, like, hey, is this you? Because I've had things where it's like, here, this is me and this isn't me. Like, I'm not denying all of the 4chan stuff. I was on there. I said some really weird stuff about Starlight Glimmer. Because, if I was a horse, I would.
I don't even think you'd have to be a horse.
No, she's a...
she's a pony.
But, yeah, I didn't... There's stuff that I've done, and then there's stuff that I haven't done, and I'm just so... sick and tired.
Are you working on that banjo cover? No, I asked Ronald Riz if he wanted to do a cover. I don't think Ronald Riz wants to. It would just take too much time to do a song. With writing, with editing, with researching, with asset gathering, all of that, it would take far too long to do to a song. I think it'd be really funny too. If there are any musicians watching, I would, if you want to do a song and it's good and it's funny, I'll put it in. But no, it'll just take far too long. It'll take far too long. I can't afford to. If I want to get this video out in a timely manner.
I don't think...
Of people accusing me of stuff that I haven't done. I'm really open and honest about what I've done. I lied about you in private. I did, and I admitted that. And that's fine, but I am not lying about the honeypot stuff. Like, I didn't teach anyone how to do that. I'm not demented.
Yeah, that's not her admitting to lying about a sexual assault. That's not her admitting to lying about a sexual assault specifically. That's her complaining about the honeypot stuff still. He completely misrepresented that. He completely misrepresents this. That call that he's utilizing, he took out of context from call 3, where she's complaining about how Cameron utilized the honeypot stuff against her. This is fucking bogus. This is fucking bogus, and people are gonna fucking eat this up.
I did, but I wasn't trying to imply that.
Where did I get that video? He posted it himself. He posted it himself. If you want to go, look at this right now and cross-reference how he's taking some of this stuff out of context. Here's the drive. Here's a drive. He's like obviously splicing stuff to make it appear as if she's lying about sexual assault. And he's taking this out of context, where this call right here, where she says that she lied about so many different things in private, where the lie could be anything, not specific to sexual assault, to make it appear as if she was being completely dishonest the entire time and lied about a sexual assault allegation that she never made. But this clip comes from somewhere else. You can't find it. I can't find it either. This audio comes from somewhere completely unknown to us. She admits to lying. But what does she admit to lying to? What does she admit to lying to? Because because what follows this is another clip. Listen to this.
I did, but I wasn't trying to imply that.
No, notice the shift in tone, notice the shift in cadence, right? Notice the obvious cuts.
Like
no Banjo, no Frank, why am I still here? Rena, should we do a DayZ goal? Would you guys like that? If we hit goal, if we hit super chat goal, I'll play a bit of DayZ. All right, I'll do a bit of DayZ.
Like you assaulted me.
Then okay, to be clear, when she admits to lying, based on the fact that this is obviously out of context, this lie could mean just about everything. I mean, could mean just about anything. Did she lie about rape? Who knows? Although I'm unwilling to believe that she did lie about Cameron raping her, because Jelly, again, never accused Cameron of being a rapist or sexually assaulting her. That is not an accusation that she made. That is not an accusation that she made, to be clear.
It's gonna de-incentivize donos. Listen, if you guys don't know, I won't play DayZ. All right, how about that? Yes, Rena, for the 2. Thank you.
So, in this case, either this is one of those cases where Jelly was calling with Cameron in an attempt to absolve him of any guilt, or this is one of those cases where Jelly is admitting to lying about other things unrelated to the sexual interaction in the past, right? But this is just my speculation. Take my speculation as you will. Take my speculation with a grain of salt. I'm not claiming this is a definitive fact. This is just my theory. But I will say that a lot of my theories in regards to this have been right so far. For those of you who have been around of me covering this from the beginning, a lot of my theories have been correct so far. So this could either be one of those scripted calls that she's referring to, which I'm not willing to fully believe, or she's admitting to lying about something else. Now,
what I've done, I lied about you in private.
I lied about you in private, but let's listen to this again.
I did, but I wasn't trying to.
Okay, here's where it's obviously 2 different clips.
Imply that.
That is true. They are 2 different clips, Gama. I probably would have caught that, to be fair. What, 20, 28, 45, Cameron, his content deputy plays 2 different clips side by side and misrepresents them. And I think the good thing about this is Gama's going to show the calls that they're from, respectively, right? Which is, again, why I wanted to watch a bit of his coverage. And I think we're going to move on right after that to the 2-hour Cameron interview.
Like, you assaulted me.
Then okay, but I wasn't trying to imply that you assaulted me. This is carefully crafted by Cameron to try to make it seem as if Jelly lied about him being a rapist or a sexual assaulter, when that's not an allegation that she ever made, right? Like what he's doing here is intentional.
Yes, the 2 hours Dickers Jelly interview, yes.
Disinformation to make it seem as if Jelly was the one to accuse him of doing these things, and then make it seem as if Jelly lied about these accusations to discredit everything, to discredit any sort of onlook or scrutiny that he might be getting from anybody. Okay, now there's something that I have to show you guys as well. There's something that I have to show you guys as well in regards to this. The reason why I'm arguing what I'm arguing right now is because of this. Because again, if you go back down the history, if you go back down all of the information, Jelly never accused Cameron of being an assayer or a rapist. At least not publicly. And this was Jelly's statement, which aligns consistently throughout the Dickers interview and several things in the past as well that I've gone out of my way to look for. But if we take a look at this screenshot, pay attention to this. So, Anne, from your perspective, what happened? You guys hook up, a recording is taken, everything is chill till you feel Cameron fucked you over. You accuse him, and then, what's it called? Retract when you guys work everything out behind closed doors. Is that correct? Not quite. I didn't make any public accusations, which so far is incredibly consistent with all of the information that she's been.
I am not talking a lot. I'm taking in information. To be clear, I'm paying attention. Okay, I want to make it clear. I'm paying attention to this. Okay, I'm paying attention to this. I just don't have a lot to say. Okay, I don't have a lot to say, but yeah, I agree with what Gama's getting at here.
Been given out, right? Her story is consistent. I haven't found any discrepancy with this. That detailed what he did. I found out him and a girl named Eve were doing stuff at the same time when he claimed to be exclusive with me. So we were talking about how much of a bitch he is and sharing stories of the weird stuff he did / lied about.
When he claimed to be exclusive to me, like, dude.
Who's this cat focusing and taking notes?
Thank you, Joylyn. I appreciate it. Like, when I see stuff like that, right? Why would she care that Cameron's exclusive to her, right? Why does she care? If she's not interested, she doesn't want to do anything with him. She doesn't want to do a relationship. You know, in some points, she's not even wanting to do a friendship. Why is she wanting to be exclusive? Or why does she even care? Is this ever answered? Let me DM Gama about this. So they did date? Well, I don't know if they dated, because like friends with benefits can be exclusive. Dude, I'm bombarding Gama with questions and theories. I'm going to mark this down in my notes, though, I suppose. Just for brevity. Jelly sends the message in the GC about alleged assault. She also seemingly, for some reason, cares about Cameron being exclusive with her. Go to. She definitely said they did not date and she had no attraction to him. Well, the issue with that is Crexa did the same thing. But Crexa, like, obviously was attracted to Crexa was obviously attracted to Cameron enough so to have sex, enough so to, you know, flirt on stream, enough so to kiss him, you know, consistent sexual partners, stuff like that. So this seems to be a bit of a theme where these people seem like fine with Cameron until something happens to where they're like, no, I never liked that guy. She claims every now and then that she disliked Cameron, saying that they were anything at all because she disliked him, thought that he was ugly, and also around certain times she probably was romantically interested in other people. Okay, obviously they're different fucking people, Gama. Oh my god. impossible to tell. Okay, dude. Deader, deader. La la. La la. La la la. All right. All right. Let's keep going.
And then I told those.
I had a evil short argument with Gama and DMs, but now I think I've come to a solid conclusion on this. Let me write down my thoughts on this before I move on. She seems upset that Cameron isn't exclusive with her, although this could also be her upset that Cameron is telling people he is exclusive when they aren't in a relationship. There are images of them hugging, and Krexa also said she thought Cam was ugly, but at the time they were together, she obviously was interested. So it could go either way. All right. Okay, let's keep going.
Those same silly stories to Keith. He pointed out that they were kind of illegal, especially where he tried to eat me out, and I didn't want to do so, so I had to start hitting him and stuff so he would put me down. Now, keep in mind, this story from way back, I believe this was, hold on, this was initially presented in,
24.
From way back, I don't know if this was like early, I believe this was like early, I believe this would have been like around early 2024, maybe late 2023. But this can be found from all the way back to like around like, you know, the initial Yandere dev stuff. This story.
What is this background noise? Is Gama eating like Lay's? Is he eating like Pringles right now? What the fuck?
Is consistent. It is consistent since then, because even in the Dickers interview, where she would have had years, and I mean years, to carefully craft her story, so that there wouldn't be like, you know, any contradictions.
To be fair, it like a year, right? Like a year, basically, year and a half, maybe at most.
Or years and years, so she would have like forgotten this story. This remains consistent. It doesn't change in any way. And it isn't modified in any way. If anything, what she says is that they were at a motel. Cameron picked her up and tried eating her out. Right? That's in the interview. That is in the interview. These stories remain consistent from the time of the screenshot, whenever the screenshot was, from back in 2024 to now. And when I was like, oh,
what is going on?
Like
I hear chips being eaten here. What is happening? Hello? What is happening here?
Last crime, so I posted about it. Cam was being sleazy and got caught. He apologized and fixed it. It wasn't rape. I don't think it fits the definition. There was no forceful penetration, and Alex was mad that he got cucked by his former employee, so he played into the Cameron bad narrative. I'm over it. I forgive him. It isn't a huge deal, right? So, Cameron,
I can't, like, I'm sorry, but like, I can't, it's like piercing my ears. I'm sorry, dude. You're gonna have to burn the bridge again. No, it's fine. I'm just like, I'm listening to this. I'm like, why does it sound like he's eating chips while he's talking? What the fuck?
Is heavily poisoning the well and doing some insane manipulation of information here.
That is true. That is true. That is true. That is true. This is insane manipulation. Which is crazy because he released the calls a few days before the video drops.
To try to make it seem as if Jelly
is there any evidence of let me ask Gama, to be clear, there is no evidence of Jelly claiming Cam assaulted or raped her, like anywhere that anyone's found. All right.
definitively made a false rape accusation and then admitted she lied about it when that isn't accurate at all. Could she have potentially made a misleading claim in that tweet back in the day? Yes, but does that actually imply?
The tweet? What tweet? What tweet? What tweet? What tweet? Let me copy and paste this to Gama. What tweet are you talking about here?
Potentially made a misleading claim in that tweet back in the day? Yes, but does that actually imply? Does that actually mean that there was a rape allegation? Does that actually mean that there was a rape allegation since then? No, that doesn't mean anything. And according to Jelly, in the Dickers interview, the person, and by the way, this is consistent as well, it was somebody else who made the allegation of rape. And I believe this is also in the calls that he released. It was somebody else. It was other people who were making the rape accusations based on Jelly's, like, you know, claims. It wasn't her. I'm pretty sure this is present in at least 2 of these calls. Perhaps call 4. So, take that as you will. Cameron is heavily manipulating the narrative here. And I mean heavily.
In an apparent attempt to fabricate evidence, she called me and started recording mid-conversation talking about a consensual hookup. She then suddenly...
A consensual hookup? Cameron, you dirty dog. That's what they're calling rape nowadays? That's what they're calling rape nowadays? Okay, okay.
Shifted the topic to an awkward hug that we had, where I picked her up. This had made her uncomfortable because she had past trauma related to being picked up. Of course, while talking, she deliberately left out the context of the hug to make it sound like an awkward sexual encounter, essentially twisting 2 completely unrelated moments together to make it seem like I admitted to something that I never did.
He's just being completely dishonest here, by the way. I know what call this is from.
I put you down. It's not sexual.
I had like a Spurg freak out.
All right, call 2. It's called 2. It is called 2. Let's listen to this call in full real quick. It is only 5 minutes long. And then we'll go back to this.
Rape.
You and I, you've said it a million times.
I'm not being sexually abused. I just want to go fishing and hang out with Austin. But now I gotta sit around my house all day. And I can't leave because what if they show up and I'm not home and then they freak out about stuff because they're always calling in. People are always calling in saying something new. So I bet they have a huge file on me that I'm like a flight risk and stuff because of all the reports they get. But I'm not, and I don't want to get in any trouble for anything. I don't know what to do. I'm not being abused. I'm sorry. I should have kept you blocked, but I needed to just let you know that cops are probably going to show up trying to investigate you for stuff.
All right, right here. Right here. Right here. Right here. I'm sorry. I should have kept you blocked, but I needed to contact you to tell you that the cops are probably going to show up to investigate you for stuff. Now, again, Jelly has a record of not wanting the people that she has, you know, talked to, such as Cameron, and Yandere Dev, she has a record of not wanting them to, like, you know, get absolutely fucked more than she believes is fair, because she feels bad for them.
I don't know, get ready to deal with them, but you're not gonna get in any trouble because you didn't do anything.
I know.
You're not gonna get in any trouble because you didn't do anything.
I'm so tired of them showing up.
I know. I'm
like, she's breaking down because people keep making like CPS reports on her saying that she's being abused by her dad. That's the context of this.
This will be over soon. That's why I'm still making the follow-up. Okay?
Like, see right here, they're talking about.
That is true. Let me mark that down as well. Gamma's like grooming me with his mind right now. All right, here. They met her a total of 4 times, right? Fuck. Fuck, dead air.
Right here, they're talking about how this will all be over soon. Cameron's saying that's why I'm making a follow-up to all of this, because he's actively attempting to, like, you know, construct narratives, make response videos that would absolve Cameron and her of any of this wrongdoing, so that Cameron stops being, like, you know, accused of being a malicious sex pest around the time of r/Osana making posts against him. And Jelly, by the way, to and to, like, also absolve Jelly of any crime, or like to absolve Jelly of any scrutiny for her being an unreliable narrator who's being, like, you know, sexually assaulted by her dad. That's the exact reason why I'm still making the follow-up, because he wants to absolve her of any guilt that she's, like, facing from onlookers. Who are these CPS calls from? Who knows? It could be a list of anybody in this case.
I'm sorry they're still harassing you. I thought this would be over by now.
I don't want to have to talk to you, because...
I know.
I don't want to have to talk to you.
We need space from one another.
I don't want to talk to you, because I'm with him, and he doesn't want us talking.
I don't want to talk to you because I'm with him and he doesn't want us talking. I wonder where that's the case. And by the way, she's talking right now about a person that she was actually, like, legitimately romantically involved with.
But I don't know what to do to prevent this stuff from happening.
I know, and that's completely respectable. He doesn't want you talking to any guy friends. It makes sense.
But, like, it's necessity.
I do think we do need space from one another just as friends, because, like,
I think we do need space from one another just as friends, because, okay, see, this is further corroborating that these people didn't have any romantic interest in each other. And as a matter of fact, real quick, just to tack onto this, when we go to the calls on this drive and then go towards the end of some of these calls, like she'll say, "I love you." And then Cameron will try to reciprocate, and then Jelly's quick to be like, "Not like that, not in a romantic way."
Whoa!
In an appreciative way. So they're not, like, romantically involved with each other. It's quiet as fuck. I know. I'm sorry. I'll probably like up the audio when I make my VOD.
Do a lot.
Know what to do. Cops just keep getting called for stuff. I'm not being abused by anyone. Nothing is happening.
I know.
Pay attention to this context right here, because she's referring to her being accused of being sexually abused by her dad. So pay attention to that, knowing those details.
Did they, like, say I raped you or something, or?
Did they say, like, I raped you or something? This is a leading question by Cameron, because he's referencing police activity or police involvement in this. Did they reference I raped you or something?
Hold on.
Pay attention to this context right here, because she's referring to her being accused of being sexually abused by her dad. So pay attention to that, knowing those details.
Did they, like, say I raped you or something, or?
Did they say, like, I raped you or something? This is a leading question by Cameron, because he's referencing police activity or police involvement in this. Did they reference I raped you or something?
I don't know. It was sexual abuse. I don't know that.
I don't know. It was sexual abuse. What could that mean? In this context, that could be referencing to anything. Or the police or investigators in this case asking if she was sexually abused by someone.
39 minutes. 39. Let me go back and make sure that's right, because it kind of sounds like she's alleging he sexually abused her, and that or alleging that the cops think that he sexually abused her.
Right here. Because she's referring to her being accused of being sexually abused by her dad. So pay attention to that, knowing those details.
Did they like say I raped you or something, or
did they say like I raped you or something?
Okay, I gotta go back even further. Let's go back a little bit.
Time or like to absolve Jelly of any scrutiny for her being an unreliable narrator who's being like, you know, sexually assaulted by her dad. That's the exact reason why I'm still making the follow-up, because he wants to absolve her of any guilt that she's like facing from onlookers. Who are these CPS calls from? Who knows? It could be a list of anybody in this case.
I'm sorry they're still harassing you. I thought this would be over by now.
I don't want to have to talk to you because
I know.
I don't want to have to talk to you.
We need space from one another.
I don't want to talk to you because I'm with him and he doesn't want us talking.
I don't want to talk to you because I'm with him and he doesn't want us talking. I wonder where that's the case. And by the way, she's talking right now about a person that she was actually like legitimately romantically involved with.
Yo, they said cops.
But I don't know what to do to prevent this stuff from happening.
Like, listen.
I know, and that's completely respectable. He doesn't want you talking to any guy friends. It makes sense.
But like it's necessity.
I do think we do need space from one another just as friends, because like
I think we do need space from one another just as friends, because okay, see, this is further corroborating that these people didn't have any romantic interest in each other. And as a matter of fact, real quick, just to tack onto this, when we go to the calls on this drive and then go towards the end of some of these calls, like she'll say I love you, and then Cameron will try to reciprocate, and then Jelly's quick to be
cops,
like,
right?
not like that, not in a romantic way.
Just went over the parts of the Dicker stream. If you watch his Jelly interview stream, she lays out this specific allegation starting at 39:45. Remind me. It's only 40 minutes in. Yeah, we'll watch that next.
In an appreciative way. So they're not like romantically involved with each other. It's quiet as fuck. I know. I'm sorry. I'll probably like up the audio when I make my VOD.
Do a lot.
Know what to do.
You need to get a compressor, Gama.
I keep getting called for stuff. I'm not being abused by anyone. Nothing is happening.
I know.
Pay attention to this context right here. Because she's referring to her being accused of being sexually abused by her dad. So pay attention to that, knowing those details.
Did they like say I raped you or something, or
did they say like I raped you or something?
See?
This is right here. Because she's referring to her being accused. I'll probably like up the audio when I make my VOD.
Do a lot.
Know what to do. Cops just keep getting called.
The cops are.
Called for stuff. I'm not being.
The cops. I keep getting called for stuff. The cops.
Abused by anyone.
I'm not being abused by anyone.
Nothing is happening.
Nothing is happening.
I know.
Pay attention to this context right here. Because she's referring to her being accused of being sexually abused by her dad. So pay attention to that, knowing those details.
Did they like say I raped you or something, or
did they say I raped you or something? The context is she's talking about the cops, and then Cameron's response is, did they say I raped you or something? Right? But at the beginning, she said she's calling to warn him about an investigation. No, she's calling to talk to him about CPS investigating her dad. Is that her saying that he assaulted her, or that the cops at least think that? I don't know. I'm going to leave that in my notes because I do think that's the case. I'll come back to it though. That feels like to me that she is saying the cops think that he abused her. I think.
Did they say like I raped you or something? This is a leading question by Cameron because he's referencing police activity or police involvement in this. Did they reference I raped you or something?
I don't know. It was sexual abuse. I don't know that.
I don't know. It was sexual abuse. What could that mean? In this context, that could be referencing to anything. Or
Did Diesel ever explain why he called CPS for her? Diesel didn't call CPS on anybody. Are you saying why CPS was called on Jelly? So Jelly's explanation is that she thinks that Cameron called CPS on her to like fuck with her. Regardless, right? CPS was called on Jelly regardless of who called them. And it was alleged that her dad was abusing her. And they were getting called a bunch because of it. So she was basically getting I say harassed, right? Jelly said to Dickers that Diesel himself called CPS twice. I would imagine then if Diesel did call it, it was because of the honeypot shit. This is like a 16-year-old girl putting herself in danger, like willingly interacting with pedophiles. Because at one point it is she does say to I remember this because I was playing Star Wars while I was listening to it. She does say that at one point that the FBI came to her house and questioned her about the honeypot stuff, right? So I would assume Diesel called them because of that. I could ask Diesel, but I've been fucking pestering with a ton of questions, so I'll probably write that down somewhere here. Ask Diesel why he called CPS twice on Jelly. I mean, she describes it as FBI. It could be anybody. I don't know. I would imagine it's because of the honeypot stuff. If I were Diesel and if I called CPS on this girl, I would imagine it's because of the honeypot shit. Past that, there's literally nothing else you would call a CPS on her for. The only thing I can imagine wanting this girl to be checked out for is the CPS stuff. Is like the shit where she's like catfishing pedophiles and putting herself in danger and whatnot, right? That's the only thing I can imagine.
Police or investigators in this case asking if she was sexually abused by someone. And by someone, could that mean Cameron? Could that be her dad? Could that be other individuals?
All that means. It could be anything from touching a titty.
It could be anything from touching a titty to
forcible rape.
To forcible rape.
Like, they're so vague with this stuff, so they investigate it all.
There is no vague with this stuff, so they investigate it all. Because the police are actively trying to get down to the bottom of what occurred between her and whoever, like, you know, it is that people are claiming sexually abused her.
Fine.
I picked you up, and they're trying to make that sexual.
I picked you up, and they're trying to make that sexual.
Yeah, no, she told the cops about this then, right? The context here is about police, it seems. The context here definitely seems like they're talking about the police. Can I call Gama? I'm gonna see if I can call Gama. All right.
Yellow.
So the Spurg freakout clip, the context of that seems to be she's like, CPS keeps getting called on me. Then Cameron says, oh, do they think that I raped you? Right?
So around the time, it could have been a number of people. It could have been Cameron, as she alleges, or it could have been people from r/Osana, or it could have been others. They kept calling CPS on her because they were afraid that Jelly, because this was also around the time when Jelly's like, you know, there was like a drive with like her nudes of her like unconscious around blah, 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 whatever. Essentially, they were trying to get down to the bottom of like if there was somebody who had sexually assaulted her. And there was a bunch of rumors around the time as well of Cameron being a rapist, her dad potentially sexually assaulting her, which was apparently a rumor spread by Cameron himself, according to the Jelly interview. So what they were like, they could have been investigating a number of things. And around the same time, Jelly was actively basically denying that Cameron did anything wrong with her, right? Like she
told the cops about what happened with Cameron.
No.
But okay, so
where'd you get that from?
Cameron says, or the girl says, they keep calling CPS. Cameron says, "Oh, do they think I raped you?" And then the conversation continues a little bit. There's no. They're still talking about the cops. They're still talking about everything being called on them. And then Cameron says they're trying to make me picking you up be sexual, in reference to them talking about the cops. So it does seem like whatever happened is like, and I'm obviously theory craft. I'm like going, fuck, I might be schizo. Okay, tell me if I'm schizo here. It seems like the cops came, were like,
I think
hey,
you're jumping ahead too many steps.
Shh, hold on. It seems like they went to her and like, hey, is anything going on? Is anybody abusing you? Da da da. What's going on? Da da da.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, the only thing I could think of is like maybe this time in like a motel, like some weird sexual encounter happened, but like I don't think it was assaulted. Something like that. Because they're referencing the cops knowing about what happened.
Because later in that same call that you're referencing right now, she literally says, you didn't do anything wrong. They'll probably be at your door. I'm just letting you know so that you have time to prepare so that you don't get like implicated of anything.
Yeah, that means that the cops knew.
No, the cops could have been investigating quite literally anything because they were investigating just a general sexual assault.
The entire conversation is like they make multiple like alludes to the cops knowing, and then she says, "By the way, they're going to go to your door," right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Does that not? The CPS.
Does that not? Well, okay, CPS cops. What I mean, fucking whatever. Same thing. It does it not directly like seem like she told the cops what happened between them, and that's why they wanted to talk to Cameron? Because that's what I get. That's what I get out of that.
Because again, around this time, there were multiple people calling CPS at her door, alleging all sorts of crazy things. Because around this time, there were also like nudes of her being spread around.
Yes, I understand that. But if they questioned her and then she said something about that happened between Cameron, then they would know. Because it seems like they're referencing what happened between them as if the cops know. That's what I'm getting at.
Or other people would have been alleging on behalf of like Jelly.
So regardless, the cops knew. The cops knew.
Yeah, if somebody outside told them, but it appears by this call alone that Jelly wasn't the one to like argue that.
Do you get what I'm saying? The cops investigated Cameron for what happened between them.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but I think you're skipping a couple of steps.
I'm not at all skipping any steps. What steps am I skipping?
Like, you're making it seem as if Jelly was directly the one to tell the cops that Cameron could have potentially sexually assaulted her.
What I'm getting at is the cops knew. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, but the cops could have known from any other source.
I don't care. Do you agree that the cops knew? Do you agree that the cops knew?
I don't agree because it could have been any other reason.
Oh my god. The entire context of the call is pointing that the cops know. They're talking as if the cops know.
She literally says in the beginning of the call that they're investigating her for like just about any other reason. And Jelly has even said
and then they go on to reference specifically what happened between her and Cameron. And they reference it as if the cops know. That is what I'm getting at. You keep ignoring that. That's what I'm getting at. Do you understand?
And
do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Dude, I'm telling you, there's multiple variables here.
I understand. No, Gama. I understand. I am saying yes to you. I'm saying yes, it could be from anything. But the context that they're giving in this call, it seems like they're referencing what happened between them as if the cops know. That is what I'm getting at. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's one possibility out of several.
One possibility that you're not listening. It feels like you're not listening to me.
No, I am listening. I'm telling you. I think you're like reaching at something that isn't quite fully there because we don't know all the contexts.
Yes, but I'm making a deduction from the context that we have. And the context that we have, it seems like they're talking about this thing as if the cops know, right?
Well, yes, I'm telling you, that could be the case, but that could also have stemmed from any other source.
Why would they talk about it as if the cops know, though?
Because it's a possibility that whoever was calling CPS on her was alleging that she was sexually assaulted by any number of parties, including Cameron, or her dad, or some other individual.
But then Cameron says they're trying to make me picking you up sexual. And again,
that could imply
in reference to the cops.
Like, yes, that could imply like the people who that could imply the cops. That could imply r/Osana or the people who are calling CPS.
They're talking about the cops. Why would he randomly say they're trying to make me picking you up sexual? They haven't spoken about Reddit this entire call. It's only been about CPS and the cops.
They could imply literally any party in this case.
No, Kate, Gama. They have not referenced anybody else.
If some external
Gamma, no. Listen.
It couldn't.
It would make no sense. It would make no sense. They have not referenced any other party in this call. He's not referencing Osana in this call.
They haven't referenced any other party in this call, but they is a very vague and general term. They could imply like whoever's accusing Cameron. They could imply the cops themselves.
But he wanted to have sex with a 13-year-old.
Huh?
I'm referencing EDP because I could be referencing anybody in this conversation. That doesn't make sense, does it? Because the entire time in this, listen. No,
you just
listen to me. This entire conversation has been about Cameron, and then randomly, if I throw in some fucking random crazy shit out of nowhere that's about someone entirely different, that obviously makes no sense, and it would be incredibly confusing for both parties, right? So it doesn't make sense that randomly, I understand. It doesn't make sense that randomly out of nowhere, he would reference fucking Reddit when they're talking about the cops and CPS, right?
And
if he is, he's being dishonest about it because he wasn't referencing Reddit. Or if he is referencing Reddit and it was referenced previously in the conversation, then he's still being dishonest because he cut the fucking conversation before he talked about Reddit, right?
Yes.
So either way, he could be being
the
like
of this call to his benefit in one way or another. Yes.
Right. So the cops think what seemingly in this conversation. Okay, what seemingly in this conversation is happening. It seems like Cameron thinks I think. I'm not messaging Jelly. I don't want to talk to Jelly. I'm not talking to Jelly. It thinks, or he thinks, that the cops know that something involving like picking up happened, right? That's what it seems to be. And if that isn't the case, then Cameron's being dishonest with what he's saying, right?
Yes, it's entirely possible that he's like adding that leading statement there so that he could then utilize it in a response video, which kind of, adds up given his history. Okay, so but I'm not willing to like immediately assume that.
Sure, but you agree that it seems like the cops are going to investigate Cameron, or at least know specifically what happened to them in the motel, right? And then if they aren't investigating him, if they don't know that specifically, then Cameron is being dishonest. This is not, to be clear, this isn't like it's a possibility thing. This is like a if statement, right? If the cops knew about this, then that is what they're referencing. And then if they didn't, Cameron is saying some absurdly different thing to be dishonest, right?
To then like utilize that context to his advantage.
Do you agree with me when I say that?
It's a possibility.
It's not it's not though. It's not a possibility thing. It's a if then if happens thing, right? This is like a course of events, right?
But again, it's entirely possible as well, because when Jelly references the CPS calls, she mostly references that she's being investigated on the premise that allegedly people are alleging that her dad was sexually assaulting her.
Yeah, I understand that, but then you again said that like there's people calling CPS for other reasons other than her dad, or like people fucking with her, right?
I'm saying that it's a possibility that there could have been people, yes, calling CPS for other reasons aside from her dad, like the honeypotting stuff. So like any number of theory that you can give here could probably be appropriate depending on if you measure like, you know, the variables. So it's entirely possible that Cameron did, in a dishonest fashion, plotting for the future, did slip in. Are they saying that I raped you or something? Right? To then take that out of context for Jelly to be like, I don't know. It could be sexual assault. They're very vague from this stuff. It could be from anywhere from like touching a titty to, you know, forcible rape. Right? It's entirely possible that he didn't like insert that there to be like. But the thing is, there's so many fucking different things going on around this time that it would be nearly impossible to like define one as a definite, or to like point one out as a definite. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to tunnel vision on one specific possibility here.
I'm not trying to tunnel vision. I'm just saying if it is the case that the cops knew, or like if the cops knew, right, then they're obviously referencing the cops. And then if the cops didn't know the specific thing that happened between them, he's being dishonest. That's what I'm like in this hyper specific scenario, right? Because if the cops didn't know, he's saying in reference to the cops, do they think that I sexually assaulted you? They're turning me picking you up into something sexual, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm saying in that hyper specific, like if the cops knew, like that hyper specific fucking hypothetical, right?
That's if you want to get into that specific hypothetical, then yes.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at. I don't know if my communication skills are just fucking retarded.
No, I think I just disagree. Like with the idea of going into a specific hypothetical, but yes, in that hypothetical, that's possible. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, March Baby, for the raid. Okay. I don't know. I'll probably listen to this call again because it definitely seems like they're talking as if the cops know, but obviously there's no way for us to know.
Keep in mind, I'm going into a lot of this stuff with knowledge that I've have.
Mods ban Ryan Thomas for an hour.
Jelly.
Yeah.
I did go into these calls with a lot of knowledge from Jelly herself and the interview, right? So there's context that I'm aware of that shift my perspective on all of this.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to keep watching.
All right. Later.
Bye. All right, W calling. Her dad got away with sleeping with his daughter? No. I don't know. There's no incest involved in this story, okay?
God. I literally
So far, who knows? The night's young, okay? The night's young.
I didn't know you didn't like being picked up. I put you down. It's not...
Mods, ban local cryptid for 5 minutes. I like him more than Ryan, so he gets less of a punishment.
Sexual.
I had like a Spurg freak out and they're acting like I had a rational response.
Referencing police enforcement.
That seems to be referencing the picking up thing more specifically. Well, okay, let's go back because that seems to be not referencing the... It could be, I guess.
She was sexually abused by someone. And by someone, could that mean Cameron? Could that be her dad? Could that be other individuals?
All that means. It could be anything from touching a titty.
It could be anything from touching a titty to
forcible rape. Like, they're so vague with this stuff, so that they investigate it all.
There is no vague with this stuff, so they investigate it all. Because the police are actively trying to get down to the bottom of what occurred between her and whoever, it is that people are claiming sexually abused her.
Fine.
I picked you up, and they're trying to make that sexual.
I picked you up, and they're trying to make that sexual.
God. I literally I didn't know you didn't like being picked up. I put you down. It's not sexual.
I had like a Spurg freak out and they're acting like I had a rational response.
Which that I guess that could be about the police, but I read that definitely as it's about the alleged attempted sexual assault, which is my reading, not what Jelly's describing this as. I don't know. It could be both. She did have a bit of a Spurg freak out at the beginning of this call, so I suppose it could have been both.
I had like a Spurg freak out, and they're acting like I had a rational response referencing police enforcement.
And we settled it in private, and then it got public because you were
We settled it in private, and then it got public.
Upset at me.
Because you were upset at... Okay.
Yeah, it definitely seems that Spurg freakout thing is more about the sexual assault shit. That seems to be the topic that they're on.
Okay, so this right here, when we listen to this, is heavily miscontextualized.
And they're acting like I had a rational response.
Yeah, I didn't know that picking you up was going to trigger your PTSD. I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that, and you said that.
Talking about the hug, to be clear, Jelly has made comments about this. She says that she doesn't know where the hugging during the parking lot narrative even came from. Because that's not what occurred, according to her. Right here. This is where they start discussing it. At 18 minutes, we can listen to these next 2 minutes.
Okay. Fair play.
But yeah, so I was like, no, I'm not interested. And he was like, I really like eating girls out. And I was like, okay, I'm not interested. And I gave him a whole bunch of reasons why. Just like mostly, I'm not into him. Especially not with someone who looks like him. So I just repeatedly was telling him, like, no, I'm not really into that. And he was like, no, you'll be fine. And I was like, no. Leave me alone. No, I'm not doing that. And he picked me up, like physically lifted me, and tried to move my pants and put me down on his face. And I was kicking him because, like, what the fuck? You can't just do that.
So you were at this time you were in a hotel room with him. Is that right?
Yeah, that was a motel. Okay. I don't know how many times we went there. I think we went there twice. Once because after the interview in the car, it was noisy because it was a car.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so he said, I guess this was the second time that you met up, and the first time that you second time you met up was the first time you went to the motel, and he said he wanted to go there because that would have better sound quality.
Yes.
Okay. And so, I guess the third time you meet up, you're going around Dunkin' Donuts, hanging out. He's being pushy. Is that before you're in the hotel room, or is that after?
Oh, Gama, I'm gonna call you again. I don't know if you're watching stream. Oh, you're so big. You're so big.
What's up?
Don't read the name, but read this out loud.
Read what out loud?
You can read you can say the jelly thing, but don't read the name of the person who sent this to me.
This is in reference to me saying she should make a report on Cameron Diesel's stream from the 25th. I don't know what number the report is or how the request is, but the email from Google saying the court order expired and the feds had my email, meaning report on Cameron already existed. I don't know that email was ever shown. Yeah, it's a possibility, but that report could have came from anywhere.
Okay, what? Let's think about this. Let's think about this. What report involving Cameron and Jelly could have existed?
Just about the sexual allegation or assault, or the sexual assault allegation, I guess.
Right. So the only thing that this report could have been referencing is the alleged attempted sexual assault.
Yeah.
So if there is a police report about this, that is fucking huge.
If there is a police report about this,
if
yeah.
There, because I mean, she just says she she says one exists, but apparently like we obviously can't find it because like, how would we even find that?
Searching up his full name, the area, the region, etc.
We have the state she was in.
Or the state he was in.
No, because remember it happened when he was visiting her.
These reports are actually not that difficult. These reports are actually not that difficult to find. Most of the time, you can go on a court website and it'll be readily available without like a information request.
But this is involving a minor, so I don't know if that would be.
I probably shouldn't have said that.
Who fucking cares, dude? I mean, it's all. Listen, she is a minor at the time. I don't know if it'd be public.
Well, no, because the report would be about Cameron. Cameron was not a minor. A report like that would have definitely been public.
I don't know. I don't know how that works to that extent. I don't know.
So long as you know the case number. So long as you know the case number, you could easily plug it into a court website or
We don't
like
know the
a
case
county
number,
clerk
though,
website.
right? So
yeah, we wouldn't.
We are
wouldn't
not
know
going to
the
be able to
case
find this
number.
report, basically, right? We're not going to be able to find it if it exists.
Not necessarily true. When you search up his full name and region, you would have to know where he lives. Some stuff would like end up getting hits.
Wouldn't it be on where she lives, right? Because it would be about her, right?
Possibly, depending on who it is that made the report. Yeah.
Okay.
Depending on who had made the report, they would make the report either in his state or they would make the report in her state.
If we could find this report, that's fucking insane.
I mean, I could probably ask her about that, to be honest.
Well, she's literally saying here she doesn't know how to find it, so I don't know if asking her about it would do anything.
Oh. Well, I mean, I'm not going to like indulge in this idea because I mean, you know,
I'm not gonna mention this unless we can find the report, because as it stands, it's literally the only thing this is her saying a report exists, and it's like, unless we have the report, there's nothing to go off of. That being said,
and even then, if there is a report, if there is a report, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is directly tied to the context of that call. It could be before, it could be after, it could be in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that is a very interesting piece of information to know, and it makes me wonder a little bit further, like to what extent were these allegations really perpetuated back then?
What the fuck is this message I got? What the hell?
What are you gonna show it to me?
I could show it to you, dude. Okay,
yeah, send it over.
I'm gonna read out the first line because the first line is insane. Please, for the love of everything, do not share this message to anyone. I am. Dude, this is crazy. All right, there you go. Obviously, I'm not going to use this for anything, but this is a little. Jesus, shares it, lol. This is a little insane.
I think I agree with him wholeheartedly, if he's being honest. No, I think this is I based on all of the information that I know, that looks legitimate. That looks legit.
Yeah. I want to, if anything goes down.
I mean, I came to that same conclusion with my, I came to like pretty much a similar conclusion given my research.
Yeah. Dude, if this report exists, that would literally have him dead to rights. But there's like, how the fuck would we even find
that? Not necessarily, because the report could be somebody filing a false report, right? Or a report under their assessment that perhaps something did go on.
Gama will leak that within 48 hours, yeah. Well, no, I think it would, because it would prove that this isn't just Jelly saying this, right? It would prove that there was other people reiterating the
it would prove that, yeah, no, you're right. You make a good point. It would prove that there's external parties that are alleging that aren't Jelly.
Yeah. So yeah, that to me, that would be like, okay, this definitely happened. Which, to be clear, like alleged sexual assault, like on the totem pole of like, this is not insanely bad. This is like, to be clear, I don't think Cameron should be fucking chastised for this that bad.
Well, yeah, a report isn't proof of anything. It just means that somebody had a concern.
Just leak it.
But if somebody had a concern,
if I had the report, I'd fucking leak that shit in a heartbeat. Obviously, what if I had the report? Then I'd be able to prove his guilt.
What? No, a police motherfucker. You could report me of having crack cocaine right now. Police show up to my house and find nothing. I won't be guilty of having crack cocaine.
It would prove guilt to me. You're being pedantic. You're being pedantic. If there was proof of an external source alleging that this alleged attempted sexual assault happened, that would prove to me that, yeah, probably he did try to eat her out.
You would need a secondary witness for that to be like evident, though. You would need another
I'm not
witness
a fucking judge. I'm not a jury. I'm not an executioner, motherfucker. I'm just telling you what I think. If I were to see that, that would probably confirm to me that this indeed did happen.
Wait, but Mrow, giving those standards, you yourself could like imagine you yourself 3 years ago
Okay, but the amount of context you're at, Kate, it's not solely because of the fucking report, retard. It's the amount of context that's added to this, right? Her consistency with this. What she's alleging isn't even that extreme as well, right? And the fact that Cameron has had a history of like abuse or crossing boundaries before with Krexa, right?
Yeah.
It's all of the context adding up, and then the police report existing of this, you know, alleged, attempted, whatever, being reported. All of that together, everything combined, the totality would probably lead me to be like, yeah, this probably happened.
I mean, it would prove that if there was a report, it would prove that legal avenues were taking place rather than like a definitive clout chase, but it wouldn't definitively prove that there was a, you know, an attempt of rape.
Yeah,
or
not to you,
assault.
motherfucker. To me, my opinion. I would think it's real. Okay, it's like you understand that. My favorite color is blue. That doesn't necessarily mean that grass is blue. Okay, Gama? But I can still like grass or something. It would prove to me that this is real. I would think it's real because of this. Okay?
Why?
Oh my fucking God. I feel like I just explained it to you. All of the totality of everything.
If multiple people, like say somebody is like, say for example, I told a story about how I was exposed to crack cocaine one time.
I don't care about your story. I'm telling you the amount of context that I have received and what I think about this case. If I were to see a police report alleging that the same exact thing happened, I would probably believe it. That is my standard. This is specific to this case. This isn't a rule that I'm setting for every single case ever. I am just saying for this case specifically, what would be enough to confirm to me, not necessarily that I would fucking preach this as being the truth, but confirm it to me. I'd probably be like, yeah, I probably have enough to think that this guy did this.
What if the report was made by somebody that was literally not there, doesn't actually know what occurred, and just heard it from like, you know, the internet somewhere?
Well, I would hope so, because it's a fucking police officer making the report. So I would hope they weren't sitting in the cuck chair watching fucking a 16-year-old get like assaulted and not do anything. So yeah, I would hope they weren't there. I would hope they heard it from the internet, and yeah, I would hope so.
So by those standards, I could literally make a police report right now and it would validate the claims for you. Even though I have like no way to prove that that's real or not.
Probably not, because it would say it was made today.
I mean, let's say this did happen yesterday and I made a report that same day.
Do we have all of the context? It's the exact same situation, but the sexual assault happened yesterday?
Sure.
Then yeah, probably I'd say like, yeah, that probably happened.
All right. That's your prerogative, I guess.
Do you think he attempted to sexually assault her?
Do I think he attempted to sexually assault her?
Yep.
In my opinion, it's a possibility, yeah.
Okay, so you're trying to criticize me for how I come to my conclusions when you've already come to the same conclusion as I have.
Well, I mean, the police report is irrelevant to that. I would have come to that conclusion based on just like, you know, the facts.
You're gay, you're washed. You're gay, you're washed.
I mean, I would come to that conclusion just because of the consistency of the story and because of how much Cameron is lying.
Yes, and I come to that conclusion based on the consistency, based on the context, the surrounding context, everything combined, and then the cherry on top is the fact that a report exists documenting this thing, right? It's everything combined, okay?
Yeah, yes, but apparently the police report, according to this message that Jelly sent.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's real.
Led to an investigation, and the court order expired, which means that there's unlikely any like wrongdoing found, unless I'm like, you know, misinterpreting what that one.
I don't know what court order. I don't know what that would have to do with this. I don't know. I'm just saying if the police report, if there is a report that exists documenting this, that would you know, enable, I would look at that and be like, okay, you know, there's probably a lot more truth to this than before the report existed. But does she have the email? Yeah, that's a good point. I'm not talking to Jelly though. I'm not.
I mean, I could literally file a police report of there being a line outside of my house. Does that necessarily mean that there's a line outside of my house?
I don't think you understand what a police report is.
You can make a police report about just about anything. And it could still technically be documented. And if there's enough like probable cause for a police officer to investigate, there might be a court order.
Yes, but not a lot of cases have this amount of context or situational or whatever, right? That can lead someone to believe that this is true. You came to the conclusion that it's probably true without the fucking police report. And then when I'm saying, yeah, the police report's like a cherry on top, I'd probably like, yeah, this probably happened if I saw the police report. We've come to the same conclusion. You're just like being like, dude, why would you believe that because of the police report? I believe it anyways, but dude, the police report shouldn't confirm this to you. It's like, yeah, if the police report adds consistency, it adds consistency.
Could have come from somebody that doesn't have the information. It could have come from just a random fucking spur of the moment individual making a knee-jerk reaction.
I don't give a fuck. That doesn't matter to me. I don't care.
Okay. I mean,
I don't care who made the report. I don't care. I don't care. As long as the report documents what Jelly said and it's consistent to the events that she is claiming to be true, to me, that would add consistency to the allegation.
Yeah.
You don't even disagree. This is such a retarded argument. This is so retarded. You don't even disagree.
I genuinely just don't think you understand what exactly it is that I'm laying out here.
Yeah, because it doesn't seem like you disagree. I'm so confused.
I'm saying that to suggest that a police report is the end-all be-all to like definitively prove that something occurred here.
I'm not. When did I say end-all be-all? When did I say end-all be-all? It's a cherry on top. If I saw the police report, I'd be like, yeah. This along with literally everything else, Gama, I would say like, yeah, it's probably true. Not solely the police report. I don't need just a police report, and I'd be like, yeah, this definitely fucking happened.
Again, so say for example, some complete random individual. So let's say, for example, it's a complete random individual.
Yes, yes, I would believe it. Yes, I would believe it. Yes, I don't care who made it. I don't care who made it. I don't care who made it. Yes. Yes.
All right, man. Yes, it's your prerogative. Sure.
And you understand that I'm not saying this just because the police report existed, right? I'm saying this because of the totality of evidence that there is, right? You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, and you also understand that you have come to the same conclusion I have without seeing the police report, right?
Yes, because I utilized the totality without like a random police report. Yes.
Yes, but you understand that if a police report exists, it would add to the totality.
Depending on the factors of the police report.
Oh my God. Okay, you're just being gay.
I
you're
still
just
think
being
you
gay.
can fail to understand. This is a pointless argument.
Yeah, it is. You're gay, motherfucker. All right, let's get back to this.
Do you get in there and you're alone together?
Looking back, he was talking a lot about Krexa and that stuff, so I think he was hinting to it all day, but I am formally diagnosed with autism. I do not pick up on hints.
Formally diagnosed with autism.
So, in retrospect, I have no idea what kind of...
No, Gamma's not live, I don't think. I think Gamma's like at the gym or something.
Messages he was sending me subtly.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine. Listen, if you need to like take a breather when I ask you like a question to like record the details, it's totally fine. Don't worry about it. It's yeah. Anyway, so you get into the motel room, and then he starts to be kind of a little bit pushy, or he starts trying to take things in a certain direction between the two of you.
To be clear, I like Gamma. I'm not mad at Gamma. To be clear, this is not beef. This is not beef. This is like random Discord fucking Spurg match about like shitty retarded YouTube drama. I'm fine with Gamma. I don't care if I disagree with Gamma. It's fine. To be clear, no bridges are being burned. I like Gamma. He's fine. I enjoy getting animated in arguments. Okay, I'm not mad. I'm not actually mad. To be clear, the bridge is not falling. The bridge is not falling. Okay, Jesus Christ, you guys are overreacting. All right, you guys are overreacting. You complain about the dead air, and then when there isn't dead air, oh, you're gonna sit down and eat your fucking slop. Okay, come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I went home really quickly after. I think I had said something really bitchy to him, and he took me home because he was mad at me.
And this was after sex?
No. It was after he attempted to put me on his face.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I mean after the, I guess the sexual encounter. Pardon me. Okay. Okay, because the way that, I guess you'll be aware that the way that he's phrased this is that you were alone, but you were in a parking lot, and then he tried to pick you up to hug you. But
hey, this part right here is important. This part right here is important. Because this is what Cameron is attempting to... This is the narrative that Cameron is attempting to paint here. By utilizing this call out of context.
Phil Maestro.
It was non-sexual.
I don't know why he's telling people that. I think it's just because that's the only thing he can come up with that fits the context of the call. Okay. But that never happened.
Okay.
That's what Jelly claims about that call.
Okay. So I guess just to lay it out in one kind of like thing, you walk into the motel room together. What goes on from that point?
I'm sorry, can you repeat all of that?
Yeah, sure thing. Sorry if it feels like I'm looping. I just want to make sure that I've got
I'm sorry.
Don't read the chat. I'm telling you, okay?
No, in your Discord.
This is very, very... How long are you there? What happens while you're in there? Give me a little bit of like an insight there.
It was dark the whole time I was there, so I don't remember how long it was. The Google timeline should show you when I got home. I think that shows my whole visit. I just remember that he did that right before he took me home.
Okay. Let me have
something really mean.
So according to her, right, this hug that he's referencing is just a story that he's crafted to try to like fit the narrative, to try to fit the context of this call, right? So who knows exactly what's going on here? Who knows who's really like telling the truth in this case?
In this case specifically, because I think there are things that I think, in my opinion, I can't name anything specifically, but there are things that Jelly said that are kind of like iffy, like you didn't find Cameron attractive, then why did you let him like hug you and take like multiple selfies with him, right? Like, you know, you probably found him semi-attractive. Who cares, right? It's a retarded thing to lie about, whatever. But her side has been consistent for years, right? Or at least a year and a half or whatever. Cameron's side is brand new. What she's describing here, she described a year ago to FPS Diesel. What Cameron is describing is brand new on Aiden's stream, I believe, Aiden's stream. Right? So, you know, girls do that. Yeah, I mean, Crexa did the same thing when she was like, dude, Cameron's fucking ugly. But then she like sucked his cock constantly. So it's like, okay, I mean, if you thought he was ugly, then why were you friends with benefits with him, right? You know, that's just my take. Just my take.
That's where I'll be highly skeptical and even play a little bit of defense for Cameron. But it's important to note that given like how consistent Jelly's story is versus Cameron's, I'm more inclined to believe Jelly. Because why would Jelly in this call talk about how she's getting like a traumatic, like how she's giving a traumatic response, how she's giving a traumatic response from being picked up. Now, let's listen to the rest of this because there's also an audio that I want to like, cross-reference with all of this.
And we've talked about it and I still feel awful about it.
Yeah, we talked. It's none of their fucking business.
It had nothing to do with sex.
And after her little self-admitted manic episode, she publicly expressed multiple times that I never sexually assaulted her.
Have I ever sexually assaulted you or hurt you or raped you or done anything nefarious to you?
No, but I bet I know which subreddit is claiming those things.
That her allegations only came from a manic episode and tried to deflect everything else because of that. That pissed me off more than anything he said about me.
This is also out of context, to be clear.
It did come from a manic.
It's called giving the ugly guy a chance, only to find out they're incels. Speaking from experience, I mean, Cameron just looks like a guy. Right? Like, I don't think he's like particularly attractive or anything. All right. I don't think he's like above and beyond or anything. But he looks just like a guy. He looks subhuman. He's not aging well. I will say he is not aging well. I could say that probably. He looks like a dream. True. Yeah, he's not like hideous, right? Right? I don't know. I think women, men do this as well. Men do this as well. I've seen multiple people when they break up with their partner, like instantly the day after, being a little hyperbolic, but you get what I mean. They're like, oh, fuck, this person's ugly as shit. This person's retarded. I hate this person. They're so stupid. Da, da, da. But like a week ago, you were dating them. A week ago, you were having sex with them every day. A week ago, you were fucking going on dates like constantly, right? So it's like, yeah, when you break up with someone or when you stop doing stuff with someone, your opinion of them tends to sour a bit. Tends to, get a little iffy, right? So I can definitely imagine I could definitely imagine, Krexa being attracted to this guy. And then when they end up, breaking up, proverbially speaking, I think that's a word. I can imagine her opinion souring of him, especially because he allegedly verbally abused her constantly, right? So I can see that. I can see that. Imagine this guy trying to give you a head. Yikes. Let's go. Let's go. Yes, Cameron head. Cameron sucking on my pussy. God damn. Shit. Fuck.
Gama said, that was my words, not yours.
And also, this ties back to the little presentation that I gave you guys a second ago about the initial calls where she's like saying, oh, I didn't actually mean to imply that he raped me, because that is consistent. We also hear this in the Dickers interview. She did not mean to imply that this guy was like, a sexual assaulter or rapist. As we saw we see in this screenshot. People just misinterpreted her initial words.
Exactly. You said it, not me.
I confess to you that I thought I might have BPD because of it. Like, I'm coming to these conclusions myself. You're not just pulling stuff out of your ass to make yourself look better. I'm the one who came to you and told you that.
I have long since distanced myself from this person, obviously. Not only were these accusations disproven over a year and a half ago, even the person who made...
They weren't disproven. They weren't disproven. They were just misinterpreted.
Yeah, to say that this is like completely disproven, because you can't really disprove this, right? You can't really disprove this. There's a lot of evidence that something, some sort of malpractice did happen. And this is not something you can really disprove, right? Unless, like, Jelly comes out and literally says the encounter that you had in the motel just didn't happen, right? Just didn't happen. Right? Or if you just didn't meet her, but you did meet her, and you admit that some of these situations did happen. You admit that you met her, or you locked her in your car, and you wouldn't let her go until she kissed you. Right? Oh, fuck, that's another thing. God damn it. Fuck! There's another thing I gotta ask, or get from someone. Clip of Cameron. Fuck. Get clip of Cameron telling Lolly Black Jellyfish VTuber that he locked Jelly in his car until she kissed him. Because that's important. He admits to that on the Lolly stream that he goes on to with fucking Gator, pedophile.
The dog shit video resurfacing these allegations.
All right, now before we move on, by the way, before we move on from this, let's check out this audio, which Cameron claims was being used to fish for out of context information where he can be incriminated. All right, let's take a listen to this. Let's take a listen to this.
He said that you did nothing wrong?
Well, in a legal standpoint.
From a legal standpoint.
Wait, I'm going to call Gama again. Wait. He said you did nothing wrong? He said you didn't. Gama.
Hello.
At the beginning of the rape clip where they discussed the rape behind Warhammer 40K gameplay.
Yeah.
It opens up with Jelly saying, he said you did nothing wrong. Cameron replies, from a legal standpoint. Could they be talking about the police?
I think they could be talking about, it could be yes, it's a possibility, but also there's multiple points where Jelly says that she didn't mean to imply that Cameron did anything illegal, because apparently that got misinterpreted.
So
here
lawyer?
And there. Huh?
Lawyer?
What are you talking? No, she she says this in the Dickers interview. But apparently she was talking about how Cameron did this. Somebody was like, oh, apparently that's illegal. And then she was like, well, I don't think it fits the definition of rape. So I didn't want to imply that Cameron was a rapist. So
who
apparently they had some their own.
Who are you saying he talked to? Who?
I'm talking about Jelly.
No, I'm talking. Cameron said they told me nothing wrong happened legal standpoint. Who could Cameron be talking to?
Does he say they told me?
Yeah.
And no, he said no in that confrontation.
Hold on.
From what I remember.
Hold on. I'll quote it. I'm literally at the clip right now.
All right. Let's take a listen to this.
He said that you did nothing wrong?
Jelly says he said that you did nothing wrong.
Well, in a legal standpoint.
Cameron replies in a legal standpoint.
Is that what she says?
Yeah, the conversation or the recording opens with Jelly saying he said you did nothing wrong. Cameron replies, well, from a legal standpoint.
That could be in reference to FPS Diesel.
Do you think Diesel could be undercover as a cop?
No. I mean, think about it. Because Diesel had these recordings.
Get Pisco in here.
It's also entirely possible that they could be referencing another individual that Jelly was like sharing these clips around with. Because if you recall, Jelly does say that there were moments where she was recording these calls to like basically see if Cameron was actually liable for something or like some wrongdoing. It comes up in the Jelly interview. You'll see what I mean.
Okay. Bye.
See you later.
I keep telling him bye, then I immediately call him back. This is fucked, dude.
From a legal standpoint.
By the way, I do want to briefly state, okay, we've been live for about 3 hours. Okay, if you guys are enjoying the stream, be sure to like, be sure to sub, be sure to dono, $5 TTS, YouTube memberships, YouTube super stickers, all the options, all right? If you're enjoying yourself, consider supporting the channel, all right? I do appreciate it.
I'm going to answer what you're saying, Chris, because it's actually important, because this is a question that a lot of fucking morons keep asking. And what are the things that are bad about him? He's not a pedophile. He didn't assault anyone, supposedly. Why do we care? Not a gotcha, just curious. The reason why we care is because even if he didn't assault anybody, we have repeatedly seen him, by the way, and this call is going to be pertinent to that. The reason why we care is because Cameron has been lying about the nature of these allegations from the very beginning. He's been lying about the nature of a grooming victim from the very beginning. He has colluded with her to self-sabotage her reputation, to run defense for a groomer, pedophile, right? Notorious one at that, which is incredibly gross in its own right. It's incredibly irresponsible. You're telling me that you've been manipulating this girl and we have
Put a little more effort into your next show, please. Okay, thank you.
I'll try, Tyrone. Thank you for the 5.
Examples of this within your own call 3, to be clear, about you like misrepresenting Jelly and even attempting to retract said like, information that you gave to somebody about Jelly because you didn't find it, you didn't find it to be an accurate representation of her. We have like a bunch of examples of Cameron, like, obviously taking advantage of what seems to be an unstable grooming victim at the time to run cover for him and Yandere Dev. Even if he didn't sexually assault anybody, even if he didn't rape anybody, we do have multiple examples where he's been crossing boundaries, has been testing those boundaries, has been acting inappropriately with people, and then like shifts the narrative, poisons the well so much where it's impossible to get down to the bottom of any of these issues. I feel like it's just so confusing for the average person. It almost looks like grasping at straws. Yes, and that's the issue. That's the issue. That is the issue. Because that's exactly what he wants. That is what he's attempting. That is literally what he's been crafting the entire time. He's been actively utilizing this Jelly person to sabotage her own self-image, and then by proxy sabotage other individuals, like, claims and coverage about him, so that any criticism that you could actually utilize against him, or any scrutiny that can be acted upon
Gama,
towards him, can just be thrown out the window by saying, look at all these dishonest, malicious individuals. The average person won't understand, which is why
he
I'm
is crashing out a little bit
right now.
All right,
So
he's
at least
crashing out a little
showcase
bit. This is true.
some very, very like glaring examples of Cameron being an incredibly malicious actor who has been lying and like essentially coercing this girl into lying for him as well from the very beginning to attempt to get out of all of these allegations scot-free. Now, am I saying that Cameron is actually a incredibly malicious sexual abuser of any kind? No, that's not what's important about,
Yes.
about all of this here. But that's what people
Smile.
are going to run from. Just because he didn't sexually abuse anybody in any way, shape, or form doesn't mean that he is not an incredibly disgusting, dubious individual that should not be trusted by anybody, who should not have any credibility, because he has a repeated history of lying about these things, which in and of itself is incredibly dangerous. It is incredibly gross. I would go as far as to say that this is worse. This is significantly worse than you know, the idea of him having sex with a minor. Not in the pedophilic sense, but in the irresponsible sense. Like it is incredibly gross. It is so gross. That's why this is important. That is why this is important. And people will continue to blindly defend a character like this, who, in my honest opinion, has no place in a community like this. These type of people are dangerous. These type of people will lie about people in the future. These type of people will make incredibly, like, you know, manipulative responses to stuff. People will eat it up and never understand what exactly the problem is. Let's be so real, though. He's going to get away with it, especially if H3 supports him. If H3 supports him, and then people start, like, doing more research on him and digging into this stuff, because people have been compiling more, like, you know, more explanations to this stuff. H3 will take a shot, like, H3 will take a huge hit to his credibility and reputation.
You know what? You know, I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to watch Gokanaru's H3 video in retrospect and see how much of it still applies to Ethan. I think that might be fun. Probably not today, because I think that's like a fucking 2-hour video or something. But that might be fun to do. Watch Goka's H3 video in retrospect and see how much of it, you know, holds up to time. I think that'd be a little funny, a little interesting.
By proxy of Cameron. So if H3 is smart, he'll do a background check on this guy. People will look into this coverage if they actually care. And H3 will drop him, at least silently. It's disgusting. It's going to be covered up as false allegations, just like Pyro got away with it. You know what? Thank you for pointing that out. This is worse than the Pyro situation, in my opinion. This is worse than John Swan. This is worse than, like, a whole bunch of other things that people have been, like, clamoring at the last couple of years to, like, showcase an example of dishonest behavior. This is probably one of the worst cases
Yeah, it's probably worse. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. It's probably worse than Pyro.
I've seen on YouTube in fucking years. In regards to this clip, again, listen to this. Listen if this really sounds like him being set up to say stuff out of context, so that his guilt can be cemented.
Okay, I as much as I would like to hear Gama continue talking, well, let's see if he gets, because I see he brings up the Aiden call. I'll see if that goes anywhere.
I was saying no, and I was scared, and that I didn't want to.
No, just in the sense of us having sex, and that can be argued because once I heard you say stop, I put you down.
Once I heard you say stop, I put you down. In the sense of us having sex, that can be argued, because once you said stop, I put you down. So what is this narrative about a hug again?
I don't think I was.
I don't think I was.
Maybe I wasn't hearing correctly, but
maybe I wasn't hearing correctly.
I did not hear the word stop until I did. I put you down.
I did not hear the word stop until I did.
And I felt awful because you were like, once you like started like squirming a bit, I felt like
once you started squirming a bit.
You're gonna call it squirming? I was hitting you.
I was hitting you.
Were you?
Were you?
Oh my god.
Which again, I wish we had the exact date. Even Tectone is backing Cameron. Yeah, I mean, Tectone's fucking retarded anyways, so. Tectone is his, listen, rapists, rapists back rapists, all right? What I was saying, I wish we had the exact date that this was posted, right? But she doesn't sound confident. No, she sounds confident. Cameron is the one that's like, what? You were? Huh? She sounds confident to me. But I'm also not a woman, and I don't talk to them a lot, so could be wrong.
I'm sorry, I can. I don't know. Obviously I wasn't intending to do something bad to you. And I feel bad about it.
I wasn't intending to do anything bad to you. I feel bad about it.
But that's between us, and that's not going to be public.
But that's between us, and that's not going to be public.
What about how I spent like 5 minutes telling you that I didn't want to kiss you, and then
what about when I spent 5 minutes telling you that I didn't want to kiss you?
You wouldn't let me go.
And you wouldn't let me go. Now, this is in reference to the car conversation, right? Which Cameron is framing as her attempting to shift the subject on something else to implicate him. He's being incredibly dishonest here. They already discussed the sexual interaction, right? He admits that he heard her say stop, he put her down.
True.
Presumably while he was like, being pushy and attempting to do something to her.
Put you down since like him lifting her up, not having sex with her. Yes, because they didn't have sex. The only person that's saying they had sex is Cameron. What she is describing is them both laying down, on the bed, Cameron grabbing her thighs and trying to lift him up onto his face. That is what she has described for a year now, and her story has not changed. Right? Apparently the story in the parking lot, according to Jelly, isn't true, and the story that she's describing has been consistent for a year now. So whenever she says lift up, that's what she's referencing. He's grabbing her thighs and trying to put her onto his face. Right.
As we heard here.
As far as I understand.
Like they're obviously moving on from subjects, and now he's this doesn't sound like somebody trying to get Cameron in a gotcha. This sounds like a genuine conversation.
Haven't we already been over this?
Haven't we already been over this?
Like, I feel horrible about that, and it was only because I wanted to spend more time with you. I wasn't trying to force you to do something.
Now this is about the kissing. They changed things to be about the kissing here.
But you can't just act like you didn't do anything wrong.
That's the first thing I said to you. Like you said, I didn't do anything wrong in the sense of like anything illegal, and in regards to the idea of us having sex, and that's all that.
I just want to make sure that that there wasn't anything illegal in the regards of us having sex.
In regards
True.
to the idea of us having sex.
Gamma spitting,
said
bro.
I didn't do anything wrong in the sense of like anything illegal, and
that doesn't necessarily mean, and we can tie this back to the call 2, right? Where Cameron is to call 2, where Cameron is like, where Cameron and Jelly are discussing about like, people investigating him for potential, accusations of rape, right? He's just concerned about like they're just concerned about him not being like legally liable for sexual assault. Which again, if we go back to these screenshots and we tie everything together, that's probably not what the allegation is. That's probably not what the claims are, right? The claims aren't that he actually broke the law. The claims are that he was being sleazy and gross towards her, which is where this confrontation is coming from, right? So when we take all of this, it heavily recontextualizes some of the stuff that he's saying here about you know, about like him framing this call where she's like admitting to him not doing anything wrong, because maybe he didn't do anything wrong from a legal sense, but that doesn't mean that he didn't do anything wrong from a personal sense.
In regards to the idea of us having sex. And that's all I was talking about. Not that between, that's why I said obviously between us. I know I made mistakes.
I know I made mistakes. He only cares about not being implicated of a crime. However, he is acknowledging that—
Bro, what are you snacking on? Nothing, dude. This song that he has playing has like crunching audio. I don't know what this is. See, it sounds like the fucking music that he's playing in the background. It sounds like there's somebody crunching on like chips.
But that doesn't mean that he didn't do anything wrong from a personal sense.
Like, what is this audio? I completely forgot about it. I think I tuned it out until you sent that chat. Gama's background music, it's like a lo-fi track, and then behind that there's like chewing. I don't know. I don't understand what it is. I don't know if Gama noticed it, but yeah, there's definitely someone chewing in the background. It's very odd.
In regards to the idea of us having sex. And that's all I was talking about. Not that between, that's why I said obviously between us. I know I made mistakes.
I know I made mistakes. He only cares about not being implicated of a crime. However, he is acknowledging that perhaps he did make a couple of mistakes in regards to Jelly. Isn't that interesting?
And I feel horrible for them. Because I broke a boundary that I didn't realize I was breaking, and I feel awful.
You didn't realize you were breaking it? Me telling you that I didn't
I broke a boundary I didn't realize I was breaking. And I feel awful.
want to, and that I was scared and not to grab me. That...
See, if you were like...
And I was scared and not to grab me? Now, does that sound like a hug to you? Or does that sound like what they're referring to in this interview? Again, be highly skeptical of this. Even I'm highly skeptical of this.
To be fair, they are talking about two different things, right? In the beginning, they're obviously talking about the eating out, and then in the latter, they are talking about the kissing, right? So, I think they are talking about two different things there. It seems like that way to me, at least.
This, I am speculating. Take that as you will. Not take what I'm like, you know, what I'm laying down here as a matter of fact in any way, shape, or form. Come to your own conclusions.
Hold on, wait. Like, obviously, like, after the fact, once I put you down, like, I realized what was happening. Like, there's a reason I put you down.
Like, there was a reason I put you down.
Because I was hitting you.
Because I was hitting you.
You might have been.
You might have been.
I personally don't remember that, but you might have been.
Might have?
Rule it out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm genuine when I say I do not remember that.
All right. Now, I have a link to this that sort of expands more on this from the mouth of Cameron himself. From the mouth of Cameron himself. You guys remember the Aiden interview? Do you guys remember the Aiden interview?
I mean, to be fair, Aaron,
check this out.
To be fair, I do the same thing.
First, she was like, no, I'm really worried. I want to get home. I was like, dude, we'll be fine. Like, I was trying to be persuasive. I wanted to spend more time.
Yeah, I was trying to be persuasive. I wanted to spend more time with her in regards to, like, you know, the whole conversation they were talking about right here in the center.
Let me go.
You wouldn't let me go? You recall that?
With her. She said I was being pushy, felt bad about it, said I'm sorry. And that was that. And then she kept bringing it up later on, and I'm like, we've been over this. Like, I'm sorry that it felt like you were forced to kiss me. I wasn't trying to make it seem that way. That's kind of what she felt in her head, I guess. So I apologized for it.
Well, what happened? What happened first? The kiss, and then you were trying to spend more time with her, or then
spend more time than the kiss.
Okay, because at the start it sounded like you kissed her, and then you wanted to spend more time.
No.
So the 5 minutes of you trying to convince her, the kiss happened after that.
Yeah, and then we went home. And then after we went home, I texted her, said, hey, you left your water bottle in the car. She came back and kissed me on her own again. So, yeah.
There's nothing to corroborate this, by the way. There's nothing to corroborate this. This is something that only he said so far.
Fucking real
True, Gama. This is the second time he's done this as well. Second time this has happened. The other time being the parking lot picking up thing. W-Riz. W-Riz. W-Riz.
Forced of her.
Okay, well, okay. So, but I guess what I'm trying to ascertain. Okay, so when she was telling you she wanted to go home, you didn't you didn't like take her home immediately? Like how long?
Not immediately. It was 5 minutes is probably right. Yeah, 5 minutes is probably right. But I just wanted to spend more.
She kissed
you have to understand like the 30 like this is like a big period of time, and it was like 5 minutes to get home. Like we had plenty of time. She got home 20 minutes early.
Okay, so only after she kissed you did you start taking her home?
I mean, not immediately, but yeah, and like I was like, okay, I'll take you home, whatever.
But in the 5 minutes of you trying to convince her to stay longer, you didn't mention anything about kissing her.
No. Other than, hey, can I get a kiss?
So you did mention something about.
Just one time.
One time in the 5 minutes while she was trying to.
Yes.
So okay, let me get this straight. So she was trying to say she wanted to go home. You were trying to convince her to spend more time with you, and then mention in between that, telling her to give you a kiss, and then after she gave you the kiss, you took her home.
It wasn't even a tell, it was an ask. I asked, hey, can I get a kiss? And she did it without question, without thinking about it, without pushback, nothing. It was...
I don't think that's true. It just doesn't line up. It just doesn't line up. It doesn't line up. Now, again, Cameron will try to deflect from that criticism by saying that Jelly essentially entrapped him into saying this stuff and took this out of context. Doesn't seem like the case to me, but hey, you be the judge.
It's a patent... consensual fucking kiss.
Is it now?
I didn't even lean in for one, like she alleged.
But didn't that? Okay, but the kiss happened.
Okay, yes, the kiss happened. I regret.
Listen. Okay. Consent is a very interesting thing that I don't respect, okay? I don't respect consent, all right? No. What happened here with Cameron is he, in my opinion, and I'm going to try to not, make this sound, like I'm trying to be good faith when I say this, right? You can do things in a situation that change the dynamic of consent, where someone who would normally say no would say yes. Right? Now, this can happen in a lot of ways that are not harmful. Like, what if you're a fucking butt ugly retard, but you're a millionaire, right? That aspect of you is going to change how someone feels about sleeping with you. Whereas if you're like an ugly poor guy, a girl might not want to sleep with you. But if you're like a rich ugly guy, a girl might want to sleep with you, right? That aspect changes someone's willingness to consent to you. Now, when you're in a car with a guy that you don't really like, with a guy that you believe called CPS on you and your dad and told them that your dad raped you, right? And he's locked you in the car. It's really cold outside and you don't have another way home. And he says, the only way I'm going to drive you home is if you kiss me. That, to me, changes consent. Cameron has willingly went into this situation where she normally wouldn't have kissed him. She then changes it. He changes the dynamic to where it is coercive. If you do not kiss me, I am not going to drive you home. Right? So he himself changes the dynamic and he changes it to like he changes the dynamic to where she normally would have said no, but in this instance she was basically forced to say yes, right? Dentist it? What? I have never heard that word before. What is dentist? Dentist. Dentist meaning. He dentist it? Did you misspell something? Maybe, Bambi. My internet's not so great. I apologize. But yeah, it is my opinion. Okay, what is going on? My shit's uh-oh. 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 Oh, denies. Okay. My shit's lagging. Uh-oh. Are we good? I think we're good now. The dentist just look up the... Do this. We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. Okay, I'm going to end stream on my end on OBS, lower from 1080 to 720, and then reconnect. Okay? Let's see if that works. I'll be right back. All right. Are we back? Hello, 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 hello. Are we back? We should be back. Yes. Okay. I forgot. I was recording shit for the video, so I turned it to 1080, but I normally stream at 720. So I had changed the resolution, which is why it's been lagging so much, I think. So we should be better. My internet does seem to be shitting itself a little bit, but we should be good. Okay? We should be good. Let's watch the dentist method, and hopefully I don't get copywritten for this.
Some turpentine, some wax, and some high gloss boat paint. This shit is really expensive.
Oh, dude, yeah, you're telling me. I picked us up some new slacks and docksiders so we could have the right look, and fit in and everything. We're running pretty low on remaining dick towel money, though.
Plus, we gotta fill that thing up with gas.
I know, man. We gotta pop by the department store, pick up the mattress, and I want to get a nice one, too. You know what I'm saying?
The what? The mattress?
Rip. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What is going on? What is going on right now? What is happening? OBS literally looks fine on my end. OBS literally looks fine on my end. Oh, dude. Come on. What is going down? What is going on? Hello? Hello? I think we're back. Dude, my internet is completely... Okay, hold on. Let's test internet speed. Let's see what the test does. Run speed test. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. 1 megabit. Oh, thank God. 1 megabit. We're winning. Oh, it's going back up. Now we're at 10 megabits. Okay. 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 Your internet connection is very slow. Hey, you're telling me, buddy. You're telling me. Queenman called Ape Krieg on your internet. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay. Do I have like a... We'll see if this fixes it. I don't know if it will, though. We'll see. Hopefully we're good.
Mattress? What do we need a mattress for? What do you mean, what do we need a mattress for? Why in the hell do you think we just spent all that money on a boat? The whole purpose of buying the boat in the first place was to get the ladies nice and tipsy topside so we can take them to a nice, comfortable place below deck and, you know, they can't refuse because of the implication.
The implication?
Oh, okay. You had me go on there for the first part. The second half, it kind of threw me. Well, dude, think about it. She's out in the middle of nowhere with some dude she barely knows. You know, she looks around her. What does she see? Nothing but open ocean. There's nowhere for me to run. What am I going to do? Say no? Okay, that seems really dark. No, it's not dark. You're misunderstanding me, bro. I think I am. Yeah, you are. Because if the girl said no, then the answer obviously is no. No. But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
Because of the implication.
Now, you've said that word implication a couple of times. What implication? The implication that things might go wrong for her if she refuses to sleep with me. Now, not that things are gonna go wrong for her, but she's thinking that they will. But it sounds like she doesn't want to have sex. Why aren't you understanding this? She doesn't know whether she wants to have sex with me. It's that she doesn't know. That's not the issue. Are you going to hurt women? I'm not going to hurt these women. Okay. Why would I ever hurt these women?
Oh, thank God he's not going to hurt them.
You're not getting this at all.
I'm not getting it.
God damn. Well, don't you look at me like that. You certainly wouldn't be in any danger. So they are in danger? No one's in any danger. How can I make that any more clear to you? Okay, it's an implication of danger. You know what, just drop it. Let's drop it. You know, let's fire your shit and let's get out of here.
Jeez, tough luck. Tough luck. Hey, tough luck, guys. Tough luck. All right, let's finish up this Gama stream, see if he says anything else. Then we'll move on to the Dickers interview, then the Aiden interview.
Just going along with it, and I call in hindsight, I didn't realize that she was manipulatively twisting and describing the situation in a certain way to make me look like shit.
Oh, he's doing it right here. He's doing it right here. He's trying to, again, poison the well on this. Huh. Interesting.
You know, I was just assuming we were talking about something else entirely. And what we were talking...
I was just assuming we were talking about something else entirely? Then why do you in this call say, haven't we been over this before? Haven't we talked about this already? Huh, interesting.
But beforehand was this whole question of people trying to essentially swat me because it had leaked that this, you know, fling had occurred.
I don't think that he was being swatted, by the way. He was probably being investigated by police, but I don't think he was swatted.
True.
And people were like, she had feigned a concern for, you know, police getting involved with her and with me. And I said, well, for me, I didn't do anything wrong.
Huh. You know what this ties back to? Call 3. I mean, hiccup, sorry. Call 2.
Call 2.
His feigns back to call 2. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting?
Did she have a driver's license, by the way?
It is.
I don't fucking know.
Okay. Were you the only way she could get home, right?
I guess.
This part is important as well.
Yeah. I mean, she could have, it was like a 5-minute drive, so it couldn't have been that far of a walk.
This is a lie. Allegedly. This is allegedly a lie. It was only a 5-minute drive, so it couldn't have been that far of a walk. According to Dickers, and according to Jelly, it wasn't a 5-minute walk. It was a 5-hour walk and a 45-minute drive.
5-hour walk, 45-minute drive. Time to mark that down in my notes. 1 minute 4, or 1 hour 4. So yeah, if you're 5 hours away from walking home and a guy tells you, I'm not going to drive you home unless you kiss me, you're going to kiss him. You're going to kiss him, right? Because of the implication. Because of the implication that you're going to get raped raw if you don't, right? If you don't. Because of the implication. The implication is, if you don't kiss this dysgenic, skin-walking fuck, that you're going to get raped raw. That's just the implication. That's just the implication. Cameron was messed up for this. A little bit, yeah. Caveat, she said she had him take her to her grandma. She was closer to there. He may have been judging that distance. Not sure how far. Yeah, let me write that down as a little caveat. Because I do want to be fair to Cameron. Even though I think he's a child rapist. Queeky raid. Thank you, Queeman, for the raid. What the hell? Right. Thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. Welcome, Queeman Raiders. I'm doing more research for my epic video essay. The last topic I have to look into is the jelly shit, because I have been hyper-focusing on the Crexa stuff and the alt accounts and everything basically other than this, right? I'll leak a little bit. I have found some stuff that I don't want to make public because I don't want Cameron to start purging shit. But I will have some new information in my video. There will be some new stuff. I'm not going to get into specifics necessarily. However, some of it is pretty funny. Okay? Some of it's pretty funny. So I'm excited for my video to drop with some of the information. I'm sharing it with I'm sharing it with like Dickers and people who are working on a video as well. I'm not gatekeeping shit. I just don't necessarily want it to be public until all of it's archived, just in case he starts purging. But yeah, there's going to be some funny stuff in the video. All right, let's keep going with Gama's coverage here.
Right here.
Screenshot to Dickers. It was a 5-hour walk.
40-minute drive. 40-minute drive. 5-hour walk.
Dickers corroborates the screenshot. Is from the Google data around that time.
Allegedly where this took place.
Is allegedly where this took place. Again, this is alleged. This is alleged. Take that as you will. Take that as you will.
Wait. He said it was like he worded it like it was basically down the road.
Aiden, this is alleged, okay? We don't have confirmation that this was the place, okay?
It is alleged. It is alleged.
Caution you, okay?
I had to get dropped off near my old high school so that I could walk to my grandma's house.
I know it's alleged, but anything he says, I'm now just going to assume the opposite is true. So,
yeah.
Well, time to not include that. Time to not include that. But anyways, take all of that information as you will, right? He says that he was being somewhat pushy right here. He's saying that you know it was a 5-minute walk.
You don't think he's already purging? No, he definitely is. He's definitely going around deleting shit. But the stuff that I've found, he hasn't yet. But I've already gotten it archived. I just don't necessarily want him to be able to like pre-respond or think of a narrative before my video drops. Listen, admittedly, I'm being a little schizo about it, okay? Admittedly, I am being a little schizo about it, okay? I am. All right? I am. But yeah, no, he definitely is deleting shit. Right? How long do you think your video is going to be? So right now, it's about... Going off of my glass video, which was like, Let me find my glass script, because my glass video is like 40 minutes. So my glass video is about 16 pages. For like title cards and stuff like that, we'll do 15 pages, right? So 15 pages for 40 minutes. Let me, It's like 15-ish minutes right now, I think. It's going to come out the last week of June. I plan to have it come out next Monday. Not this Monday. Not as in a couple, like 2 days Monday, but next Monday on the 16th. That is the current plan. This could change depending on if new info comes out, depending on if something changes. But the script is done, except for the jelly stuff and except for the alt account stuff. I don't know how I want to phrase the alt account shit yet. I have a little bit written for it, admittedly, but I don't know how I want to go about talking about the alt accounts. I do think it's valuable enough to include. But that's what I'm doing right now because I've been hyper focusing on the Crexa stuff mostly, right? So I just haven't looked into the jelly stuff. So I'm using this stream as a form of research to look into the jelly shit, to get all my notes down so I can properly write about it, right? Just say he's a freaky freaker. True. True.
That's true. That's highly debatable. Can make
If you really felt that scared.
Was this at night?
It was dark out, yeah.
I mean, yeah, for a girl walking alone in the dark at night, like a 5-minute drive.
In a small suburban town, yeah, she's fine. Okay.
No, realistically, she could be fine, but from walking in the dark would just be like scary for.
And again, if this was a 5-hour walk, 40-minute drive at night, you could argue, and these aren't my words, but you could argue that perhaps there was a level of pressure that she may have felt, a level of uncomfortability where she would need to do something in order to get home as quick as possible.
That is true. That is true. That is true. That is true. The implication, if you are locked in a car 5 hours from home, and a man is telling you, or not even a man, just anyone is saying like, hey, I'll take you home if you kiss me. The implication there is obviously if you don't kiss this guy, he's not going to take you home, right? So now again, to be fair, to be completely fair. Oh my God, Jesus.
Go to help my rig keep the lights on.
Thank you, Cryptid, for the 20. I appreciate it. Oh my goodness. To be fair, I have a similar opinion to this as the Saber Spark stuff, where I think if what happened is what the girl said happened, I could see it happening and Saber Spark not thinking it was sexual assault or whatever, right? I could see the same thing with Cameron here. I could see them, you know, sitting in the car at night, and Cameron doesn't see this as a form of sexual assault, right? Cameron doesn't see this necessarily as anything bad. I could see a reality where someone is in a car and they're trying to be like flirty, and they're like, "Oh, well, if you want to go home, why don't you kiss me?" Right? Or something like that. Like, I can definitely see and envision a reality where something like that is going on. And in his head, he's being like seductive or flirty, or he's being cute or something, right? I don't necessarily think Cameron was sitting here thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to get a kiss and she's going to kiss me, because if she doesn't, then I'm going to fucking leave her out to fucking rot in the middle of nowhere," right? I don't know if he's that evil or whatever. I can definitely see a reality where he was just trying to like be flirty or be like, you know, cutesy or whatever, right? So like, I don't think that changes like the outcome. Like, yeah, he probably should have he should have the knowledge to not want to do something like this. But that being said, like, this isn't like insane, I think, right? This is a mistake you learn from. I don't think this is that crazy. If this is accurate to what happened, right? I don't think this is that crazy. Queeman Raider, Max, that happened like 10 minutes ago. Well, I don't think he was rizful about it, mean. I don't think that was riz. I don't think he had riz for it. But I'm saying in his mind, he probably thought he had game, right? That is the least hot flirt ever. I'm not saying it's good, but I can imagine a reality where in his mind he was being like flirty with it, like, "Oh, why don't you kiss me if you want to go home so bad?" Like, it's not good. I'm not saying it's like, listen, her panties were not fucking soaked. Let's just put it that way, all right? But I can definitely see a reality where in his mind he wasn't being like evil, right? I can definitely see that. I don't think he was necessarily being malicious here, right? The issue I have with a lot of this, with most of this, is that he's lying about it, right? He's lying about it. He's being malicious about it. He's doctoring evidence to try to stay on top. Things like this. That's what I mostly care about, right? That's what that is what I mostly care about. I think most people are going to have like weird sexual experiences when they're in their early 20s and they're learning. The same way you're going to like fuck up on a test or crash your car when you first get your driver's license or whatever, right? So I don't think I hold a lot of this like super against him. I think if he used it as like a moment to learn who cares? But if he's not, then, you know, no means no. But that's the issue, Meth. That's the issue. No doesn't always mean no. No doesn't always mean no. At 19, I knew better. This guy's like a chronically online, like 4chan user. I don't know if he's super intelligent, right? If not, TOU teach him, right? Nate, what? What? I don't know what that means. But yeah, I want to make my opinions on Cameron known. I do think he did sexual assault by coercion, right? I do think he attempted to sexually assault someone. I do think these things are bad. But I'm not necessarily going to, hyper focus on that aspect to criticize him. Because realistically, we weren't there. We don't know how these things played out. We don't know, who's telling the truth. We don't know. We cannot prove without a shadow of a doubt that this is what happened or whatever happened, whatever. What we can prove is we can look at something that Cameron said a week ago and then something he's saying now, and that those things are contradicting. We can look at police reports that Cameron had filed and see that he's lying about them, right? That's more what I'm concerned with. Stuff that we can actually prove, right? That's more what we or that's more what I care about personally. Obviously, I think the sexual assault by coercion, which is what I believe that kiss was, is bad. And I believe the attempted sexual assault, which is what I believe the motel eating out thing was, is bad. But there's just no way to prove it definitively, right? In my opinion. That's what I think. That's my take. Okay.
So that she wouldn't just be left alone in the dark if that was the case.
For a teenage girl or whatever. Right?
I guess.
And not to mention, by the way, that hardly anybody like legitimately walks, especially not at night. You're like most people are not going to just go out of their house and start walking to a location like, 10 to 20 minutes away. People don't fucking do that, right? Unless you're particularly active. A large majority of people don't typically just go out and walk somewhere if they need to get to a certain location. The United States is a very car-centric environment. You're not going to just go out and walk somewhere. Most people won't go out and walk somewhere. Even if I have to go somewhere close, I'm going to get in my car.
I agree.
Because it's just much more convenient. And more people feel comfortable in a car traveling to places than traveling while walking due to like how many dangers there are while crossing streets. Potentially running into strangers, potentially running into like, animals or like rough terrain. A lot of people just don't really walk anywhere.
Submit to any, retarded shit. I'm not saying what you were saying is retarded. I'm just saying like, I'm not going to play into some fucking bullshit narrative because this girl in regards to me is no fucking victim. She's a piece of shit. She's a liar.
Poison the well. She's a piece of shit. She's a liar. I wonder why she's a liar, Cameron.
She's a manipulator.
She's a manipulator? Interesting, because that doesn't seem like that's the case in these calls where you're like, obviously, or at least according to call 3, at least for my personal judgment, where you're leading her to make certain statements to absolve you of anything.
She's cunning.
She's cunning? Doesn't seem to be the case to me.
And
right here, right? Let's listen to this back so that we can tie all of this together.
That she was scared. She wanted to go home. She was afraid of missing curfew. And that was like a whole thing. And I just wanted to spend more time with her.
Oh, according to Jelly, by the way, in Dicker's interview, this whole thing about curfew, she said it was something that she made up to Cameron to try to get home quicker, right? Because she was saying that her dad put a curfew on her to try, to try to get him to take her home quicker because he just didn't want to be around him, which makes sense.
True.
And I was being a little pushy.
I'll admit. Not to get a kiss, but to spend more time with her.
Yeah, I'll admit.
And he admits to being pushy. Like, in my opinion, what is being described here is 1000% sexual assault by coercion, right? Now, to be clear, this is not a sexual assault of like a groping. This is not a sorry, I was taking a note. This is not a sexual assault as in a groping or a attempted forceful penetration or, anything of that sort, okay? I would imagine forcing someone to kiss you does fall under the umbrella of sexual assault. So when I say it's sexual assault by coercion, I do want to specify This is not like this guy groped her or touched her or anything like that, right? He locked her in a car and said, if you do not give me a kiss, or I'll only drive you home when you give me a kiss, which the implication is obviously he's not going to take her home if she doesn't do what he says, right? So 1000%, I read that as sexual assault by coercion, I think. If that is accurate to what happened, obviously. Allegedly, in my opinion, whatever.
Not to get a kiss, but to spend more time with her. Very, very important.
Wait, well, because in the call, she says you were pushing her to kiss, like she outright says it, so it couldn't be conflated with something else.
Because
she outright says you were trying to kiss her, and you don't deny
because
that.
as she had,
which corroborates this call, where he says, I just wanted to spend more time with you. I'm sorry for crossing a boundary, right? It's right here. It's right here. So this bullshit that he attempts to like pull here, where he's like, she was trying to bait me into like getting a response out of me, which incriminated me. Bullshit.
Yeah, true.
I have long since distanced myself from this person.
I have long since distanced myself from this person, obviously. Not accurate. Not accurate at all. Jelly sent these to me as well, so I can corroborate the validity of these things. But she sent these to, these things to Dickers as well. Right here, right here. Right, Cameron was sending her gifts.
Forget, okay? She's sending him gifts. He's sending her gifts on Steam to get through to her.
What's the date, though?
Check the email. I'm sorry. This is the least I can do. Best wishes, Cam.
What's the date? Oh, shit. Wait, it says right there.
Best wishes, Cam.
Fuck. Okay, I'm gonna call Gama. Where's my little gam? Where's my little gam?
Hello.
What day did he send her the Sims 4 DLC?
You could watch like the next 5 seconds. But anyway, there's multiple of those between January and the beginning of March.
Do you have these still?
Yes.
Can you send them to me, Smile?
I'll send you one from March.
Of this
I'll censor it, but I don't want to go through the effort of sending. No,
I'm not going to pull it up on
whatever.
stream. It's for the video. I'll censor it on my own.
Yeah, I'll go try and see if I can find them.
All right. How many were these?
Quite a few.
Okay. Can I have proof of all the ones that you have, or are you only going to send me the one in March?
I'm going to send you the one in March because I believe the one Dickers is about to pull up on your stream is from late January, potentially. Yeah, I'm tired, bro. I'm about to go to bed, so I'll send you the one from March.
Okay. Why, if you could, I mean, I'm not going to ask you, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you could, send me everything. But if you're locked for some reason to only the March one, I suppose that's...
Oh, no, I can send you all of them. I'm just tired.
Yeah, okay. I'll let you go to bed then. You're fine. I want proof of the dates because the long since distancing thing, if he's actively sending her Steam gifts, is crazy.
In the context of like long since distancing, since the whole allegation bullshit, he's lying. But in the sense of long since distancing himself after that, probably. Who knows?
All right, yeah. Just hit me up. You could even tomorrow. You can hit me up. You don't have to if you're going to bed right now. It's okay.
I'll send you one right now.
All right, bye. Okay, let me write this down. 109. I did not know this. I gotta watch this fucking Dickers interview. 5 hours? 5 hours Dickers interview? God, you guys are eating well. Your troughs are full tonight. Okay. All right. W. Interesting. Like sub dono, guys. Like sub dono.
This is on January 27th, 2024.
January 27th. Why is this screenshot's so weird, but sure.
I have more of these. I have more of these, and they date between the ending of January, the beginning of March. Right?
How many?
So, take what he's saying here as you will.
Obviously. Not only were these accusations disproven over a year and a half.
Not only were these allegations disproven over a year and a half ago. No, they weren't. You were running a disinformation campaign.
Ago. Even the person who made the dog shit video resurfacing these allegations has stated publicly on multiple occasions.
Even the person making this dog shit video resurfacing these allegations. Dog shit video, Cameron? Speak for yourself, retard.
That this girl is a pathological liar. That he doesn't think I sexually assaulted.
That this girl is a pathological liar. That he doesn't think that I sexually assaulted her. And then he invokes Diesel.
Anyone. And doesn't think I'm some sort of predator.
And to be clear, the reason why Diesel thought that this girl was a pathological liar is because Cameron fed Diesel misinformation. Cameron fed Diesel misinformation. Again, we can tie this back. We can tie this back to my clips. We can tie this back to my clip. Why the fuck is that? What's showing up? Oh, it's because I'm on a different thing. Hold on. We can tie these back to these clips. We can tie these back to these clips.
Okay.
In this call, we can tie these back to these clips.
It's funny because when he does the same thing with Jelly, when you say something he can use, you're credible. But the moment you speak out against him, he immediately poisons the well. Yeah.
Cameron is obviously being apologetic for Jelly for sending information to somebody that was not accurate of who she is as a character. So this is bullshit.
I have never sexually assaulted anyone. Which
also, he's trying to cite Diesel, right? Again, by the way, Diesel has denounced Cameron. Diesel has denounced Cameron since then. So he's literally just using misinformation here to make it seem as if the person who levied these allegations and resurfaced these allegations against him has admitted that he doesn't think he's a sexual abuser, which again, isn't the allegation here. It is not, that's not what the issue is here. The issue is that Cameron is a very slimy, deceptive individual who has admitted to being pushy. Cameron is using clips of me as a vouch. To be clear, I hate him, and neither do I want clips of me to be his support. He's a liar. If Cameron told me he was not the second shooter on the grass knoll, I'd start singing from the rooftops that we got the wrong guy who killed JFK. This is June 3rd. But we have more. We have more, by the way. From way before June 3rd. From way before June 3rd. Almost a week before, as a matter of fact. So my position on Cameron and the events with the woman has changed. Something occurred over the last 2 hours that was absolutely insane. And I know Cameron knows and is about to play defense. This malicious cretin is trying to slip right out of it. May 26th. He is just being incredibly dishonest here. He is misframing everything.
Yeah. I mean, do I care about that? Do I care about that? Not really. Not really. I want a preference or a preface or whatever. I like Diesel. I think he's made a bit of a fuck up, but I think he's fine. I'm not gonna drag him under the fucking bus for this. It's fine. But realistically, he's the one who came to poor conclusions. And he's the one who gave Cameron those clips to use as a defense. So I don't exactly feel... It's obviously bad that Cam's doing it. He's being dishonest, whatever, right? Obviously. but I don't feel too bad. It's kind of reaping what you sow, right? Right? In my opinion. IMO.
To try, as FPS Diesel said, slip away from the rightful scrutiny and criticism that he's been receiving.
It's true. I don't believe he did. She has done that in the past, and I would not instantly take her word for anything, right? Which is why I don't think Cameron is some sexual predator, rapist, pedophile.
Noah, this information was public and available long before your stream. What you have done is textbook defamation, and you did it on a much larger platform, ignoring the publicly available facts. That's illegal. If you have any integrity as a content creator, which I don't think you do, you will make a public retraction and an apology. And while I would love—
No. Noah Samson does not need to make a public retraction. He does not need to apologize, because upon first inference, if you were to glance at what's actually on what's actually going on with you, I think Noah Samson is not entirely being defamatory by making the assumption, the opinionated assumption based on the readily available information, that perhaps you may be dubious. I'm not gonna make any claims myself, right? Because it is very important that people take their own make their own opinions and draw their own conclusions.
To do that, I have a feeling you won't, which means Ethan and I have a lot to talk about, given that I have legal options to explore if you can't make this right.
I have legal options to explore that you can't if you can't make this right. No, you don't. You don't understand the legal system. You're a complete moron. What Noah Samson did isn't defamatory.
Now, Noah, I will give you 14 days from the—
And also, if H3H3 doesn't do a background check on this guy and comes to do all of this research, it'll be a huge shot in the foot once more people start catching on to how malicious Cameron is. Because what I'm talking about—
No, okay, Tyler, to be clear, Cameron calls the cops on Krexa. They come. The first paragraph is about Krexa. The second one isn't. That's about someone else, right? Because they go to the scene, they figure out who's there, and they're like, hey, there's a guy who's dangerous here, be careful. Right? The police report is about Krexa. It is about Krexa. That second paragraph in it, where he says Krexa is violent, that is not about Krexa. That's about someone else. That is a warning to the police officers to be careful around this guy because he has a history of violent behavior. And he's given death threats, like credible death threats before, right? So the police report 1000% is about Krexa fundamentally. But the bit where he's saying, Krexa is fucking evil and violent, it's not about Krexa.
Right now, in this stream, is only the tip of the iceberg. It is only the tip of the iceberg, right? This is not even delving into the Krexa allegations. This is not even delving from 5 years ago into how he got into some more lies and even misrepresented Discord screenshots against an individual known as Mr. Apist. This is only the tip of the iceberg into Cameron's long history of being incredibly deceptive, manipulative, and skewing the narrative to fit his gain, to fit his innocence.
The release of this video to issue a public retraction and apology. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just an honest apology for your slander now that you've seen the correct information. Now,
correct information. None of this information is correct. He's obviously being incredibly dishonest and deceptive here.
Gama make the stronger claim. This is another example of Cameron accusing someone of something to hide the fact that he is guilty of the accusation he's making. He defamed Jelly. No defamed me.
Make the stronger claim. This is another example of Cameron accusing someone of something to hide the fact he is guilty. That's true. He is accusing Noah of defaming him, saying that everything has been disproven, when at best, the allegations were just misinterpreted from the get-go, not necessarily disproven. Okay, the most disgusting thing about CameronF305, based on, again, these clips right here, the most disgusting thing about CameronF305 is not that he essayed somebody, right? Because that's not even the allegation here. The most disgusting thing about CameronF305 is that he used Jelly, a grooming victim, to botch her grooming case. And that is gross to me. That is disgusting to me. That is so fucking disgusting to me. Imagine being so egotistical and full of yourself and like so eager to just like save your fucking skin that you use somebody. You fucking throw somebody under the bus. You manipulate them into ruining their own story, into ruining their own credibility, into making themselves seem as unreliable as possible, feeding that tainted information to somebody to ruin a case against Yandere Dev.
Thoughts on CameronF305? Child rapist.
To ruin a case for her. That's what's fucking disgusting to me. That is what's disgusting to me. That is the grossest thing about that. And in my opinion, that is arguably worse than just the idea. No. That is definitively worse.
Definitively.
Than just the idea of him having sex with somebody.
Yeah, we're coming up on the end. All right. Well, that was good. The Dickers interview, 2 hours. 2 hours of Dickers interviewing. I might have to take a piss first. I might have to take a piss.